The Dent Slayer, Matt Boyette. Thank you so much for being here.
She's smooth, Lord. She's smooth.
So this must have been around 2010-ish when we were local techs together here in the Jacksonville area, and something happened with our sales manager, and we had the first manager that was a tech, and it was Mike Caudell. And he was a great local manager. He's a really, really good coach. I know he always liked football. I think he was a football coach, something like that. But he was a great local manager. So at one point, he got tasked with putting up a shelter up at the airport at the Avis lot.
Yep.
Like a big 4-slot shelter. And he's just like, I'll do it. So he does it. I think he was by himself, just erecting this whole thing by himself. And I think he took it down from another property and put it up here, just all by himself.
Like the metal carport or like the vinyl top aluminum pole?
Metal carport, the one that's still at budget today.
It's still there.
It's still there. He did a good job. So he has the structure up, and he has all of the roofing. What is that? Aluminum panels that goes on top.
Yeah.
He has them laid out. And then with these rental car companies, if anyone's worked for them, you know the drivers that work for these companies sometimes are not good at driving, right? So the dude that's driving the shuttle van comes in the lot. It's pretty open. It's not like it's super tight. He runs over Mike's panels, like left tire marks over a few of the panels. And one thing about Mike Caudell is he is a sweater. That dude drips sweat in the in the summer. So he's grinding this thing, putting it up, dripping sweat. I remember he's wearing like an apron with all of his self-tapping screws in it. I mean, he's just laboring in the sun. Yeah. And this dude runs over his panels and just keeps going, doesn't even stop. And I just see Mike start walking. And I'm like, what just happened? He didn't say anything. He just walked after that dude like a fast walk, like a horror movie villain type walk. And the guy stops at the building, 100 yards away or so, and he goes up to that dude and just starts ripping him a new one. He's telling him, get out of the van. He's ready to fight over this. And he's like, are you a professional driver? Is that your job? You just ran over my, he wants this guy to get out of the van, but the guy ain't getting out of the van. Mike's a big dude. Like, you wouldn't want to just fight a guy that looks like that. But the guy never got out of the van. Mike never put his hands on him, but I was scared that my manager was about to go to jail for beating this dude down for running over his shelter panels.
Yeah, he kind of boils. He's like a slow boil that you can't really see this. Like, there's not like a switch that flips. It's just like you see this intensity just ramp up when he gets mad. I've seen it multiple times.
Yeah.
Close with Mike. You know Mike, correct?
Yeah, I know a lot of the managers. Not really that well, but I know he is.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Mobile Tech RX, the #1 app built for auto recon pros. Whether you're chasing hail, fixing wheels, or repairing dents, Mobile Tech RX handles the full workflow from estimate to payment with zero fluff. With tools like X-ray, access photos, hail matrices, and tech pay tracking, you'll save time, make more, and look damn good doing it. Start your 5-day free trial at mobiletechrx.com.
Are you focused on repairing vehicles but forced to juggle insurance claims? That's a headache you don't need. With ClaimConnection.io, their team writes full CCC estimates for hail, collision, and PDR, then submits them and fights for every dollar you're owed. They handle the paperwork and the pushback. You focus on the repair. ClaimConnection.io. Relentless claim support so you can fix more dents, make more money, and stress less. So today's guest Started PDR in 1997 with Dent Wizard as a route tech. Correct me on any of this if I'm wrong. He started his own business in 2000, began chasing hail in 2002, and that took him all over the world. In 2009, he invented the first cordless LED PDR light, which began his tool business. Married for 18 years, father of 2, the one and only Carl Stucky is with us today. Welcome to the podcast, Carl.
Thanks for having me on.
Right on.
I've been super pumped about this one specifically. I've known you a while, and I think I mentioned to you, like right when we started this, about getting Carl on. He was one of the main people that I wanted to have on, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm super excited to have you here. I'm super excited to hear all that stuff. I didn't know a lot of your story. What the relationship I have with you, I think, is somewhat shallow. I mean, although I think we're good friends, but like I don't know a lot of context. So I'm super excited to hear all this story and find out more who you are. So thank you for coming.
We know a lot of stuff on Facebook. You see your kids and you see your families, and
yeah.
So right now you're based out of the Hilton Head area of South Carolina.
yeah, we're in Hilton Head Island.
Okay. So dude, we go all the way back to the beginning. Like, tell us where you grew up. Tell us about just, briefly run through what it was like growing up, where you were at.
All right. I'm from Jacksonville, North Carolina originally. My father was in the military, so I was born on Camp Lejeune.
He was a Marine?
Not when I was born, but he was a Marine. My father was in boot camp with Steve McQueen, so my father was older.
Wow.
When I came along, my father retired. When he went to Vietnam, he was part of the State Department, so he wasn't with the Marine Corps anymore, but he still had military benefits, and he still worked at the air station. They gave him like kind of a retirement job. My father had cancer, and instead of my family coming up from Georgia to stay with me when he'd had to go to the hospital, we ended up moving to Georgia, to central Georgia. So we lived there until I was 10, and my father passed away. And then I moved back to North Carolina with my oldest half-brother, Charles, who's like 19 years older than me. So there's a little age difference there. Wow. And then finished middle school and high school in
Jacksonville?
No, we moved to Kinston, North Carolina. And then I went to East Carolina University, where I did my undergrad.
So the only time anybody says anything about Jacksonville, North Carolina, is if it has something to do with the Marine Corps.
Oh, yeah. That's
one of their biggest bases is there, Camp Lejeune. So
yeah,
that's a wild place to.
Well, then not only just Camp Lejeune, you also there's an air station there in Verona where they do all the aircrafts, and that's where my father was after he retired from the State Department. He just had like a electronics job there.
Do you know what he did for the State Department?
In Vietnam, he was head of telecom in Nha Trang. So he was the head of the communication system for the State Department.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, he didn't really talk much about it, but my mom tells us about it because she was really young when they met. And my mother's father actually worked for my father there in Vietnam.
Wow. Is that how your mother and father met?
Yes.
No way. Do you know that story? How did she... I mean, he knew your father-in-law.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things where, the communists were about to take over. South Vietnam was going to fall. And so I think my grandfather wanted to get my mom out and made the arrangements with my father. So they got married, and she left. She was young. I think she was 20 when I was born. And she was, I think, one of 5 kids. They had a lot of kids. Since then, my mom's been back to Vietnam and reconnected with her family there, and has been able to help them out. So that's been kind of cool.
Wow.
Your last name, is that?
That's my father. So Stucky. We are related to the candy Stuckies. They're distant cousins. And that's my father's from that area of central Georgia. So always growing up, I always hear about the Stuckies and their candy business and how they were entrepreneurs. And I always kind of looked up to that side of the family, even though I wasn't really close to them. Because when my father passed away, I just was living with him. I didn't even know my mother at the time. So that's why I moved in with my oldest half brother. And then later, after I was with Dent Wizard, I was like 20, 21, 22. I was finally able to track my mother down and met her. And I had 2 siblings with her, a brother and sister. And now my brother from my mother lives in Hilton Head and works with us. He does dents now, and he works in the shop. He helps wire.
Wow.
A lot of light. He wires all the hail lights.
Wow.
Wow. How old were the both of y'all whenever you met?
I was 20. I was 22. My mom was probably 42 because I think she was 20 when I was born.
Yeah.
And then my brother's a few years younger than me, and then my sister's a few years younger than him.
Wow. So did y'all get close like right away?
No, because they were living in South Florida, and I was living in South Carolina. I mean, we always talked and hung out, but my brother and we've gotten a lot closer over the past several years when he moved up to Hilton Head. Our sister lives in Ohio, and she just had a baby, so we have a little baby niece now, which is kind of nice.
Wow.
Super cool.
So you're going to say something?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So you got your start in the car business as a salesman at the Saturn dealership.
Yeah, I was working.
You don't hear about Saturns anymore.
No, you don't. It's kind of sad because they were really, well-made cars. During college, I did sales for Belk's, which is a department store, and I worked a lot of different departments. I did shoes, kids' clothing, men's clothing, and then my last few years with Belk's, I was with loss prevention. So we got basically the security for the store. And
Give us your craziest story from that job, loss prevention at Belk.
Oh my gosh, there's a few, but we had like a whole
I love this stuff.
display wall so we could watch, all the cameras. I had a giant wall of TVs, and that was when they started doing a lot of the smash and grabs, and certain vendors like Tommy Hilfiger, Nautica, all the higher cost clothing, they always want to be at the front door, so you saw them when you walked in. Well, the thieves figured out that they just roll up in a car, 3 of them jump out, come in, grab armfuls of clothes, and just run right back out. So they'd smashed us a few times, and it was me and another guy working that night, and I saw a car kind of pull up, so I was already out on the floor. I waited for them outside, and they ran in, grabbed. I caught one of them, and the other one went driving, like getting drugged down the road with the car, and then the third one took off on foot. They threw all the clothes at us and ran. So we recovered merchandise, which you're not supposed to do, and you definitely can't do it nowadays.
It's forbidden
back
now.
in the 90s. You'd be
Can't do what? Put your hands on people?
No, you can't stop them. Like, you can't do anything. Like, it is what it is. You just have to let them go because they don't want to get sued.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. That's why all the expensive stuff in the stores now is locked up, and you have to get someone to get it out because people just grab it.
The underwear at Walmart is under lock and key. I was in the automotive section at Walmart, and they had some stuff locked, and I was like, "What's all this stuff locked?" The air fresheners, like the pine tree air locked, and I just started walking around like, "What do they have locked up here?" Bro, underwear and tube socks were locked up.
It's just that culture, smash and grab, nobody cares, and the loss prevention is not going to intervene. Really, they're not going to. You get fired a lot of places if you do anything. I don't know what your job is.
They must lose.
Document it.
You can document it, and then if they do leave the store with it goes from shoplifting to, I think, larceny. So it becomes a higher misdemeanor.
Yeah.
They must lose so much money. Did they tell you like how much money they would lose on a regular basis?
No, we didn't have that kind of information. There's a huge markup in clothing. That's why when you see the stuff on sale, they've already made all their money back, and they can sell it for basically at that point a loss. We also did loss prevention. We also did employee theft. So they would come in. They'd have a team come in from corporate overnight, and they would set up pinhole cameras because you had the ceiling tiles and they had those little holes. So they put a little camera, and you can't
No way.
see the hole, and it'll be right over top of your register, and you can see everything happening at the register.
Wow.
Which kind of sucks. Because some of the people, you might have known them for years, and they'd have somebody buy something with cash, and they'd ring it up. Looked like they were ringing it up, but they do a no sale, and they slide the cash under the register, and then take it later. And
Wow.
unfortunately, we had to take out a few employees like that.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Okay.
how long did you work there for?
I was at Belk for 4 years while I was in college. And
What years would this would have been?
so in 92 to 96,
Okay. What years did you graduate?
96.
What'd you study in college?
I was a criminal justice major, so I have a Bachelor of Science in criminal justice and a certificate for professional practice in criminal justice. But my original plan was to go to law school, and then I was going to try and go to the FBI Academy. But my senior year, everything kind of changed. I didn't want to do that anymore. And then we had Saturn come into. I was going to get out of Belk's. Belk's offered me a store. I could have been a manager, but I just wanted to try something different. So Saturn was opening in our town, and I went and interviewed with them, got the job. It was different, Saturn at the time too. They were always promoting like you don't really haggle on the price of anything. It's already listed, and it kind of is what it is. And I actually I delivered the first car at that dealership. So we had a team come down from, we were part of a group from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Flow Automotive. And Flow brought down senior salespeople from their other stores to help train us and get the store going.
So you had the first sale?
I had the first delivery. So technically one of the seniors from the other store had the first sale, but I had the first delivery. For Saturn, you don't just pick up your car to do it. They have a delivery pod. So they pull your car in, it's all cleaned up, and then you come to get your car, and the whole team comes in and cheers you on, and then you roll out with your new car so they have a delivery.
Mm-hmm. So you said your senior year, everything changed. What was it that changed that turned your path away from that whole criminal justice world?
I don't know if it's any one thing. I think, because when you first get out of high school, and especially if you go to college, that first day orientation, they're like, well, 80% of you won't work in your majors. And usually the first 2 years you change your major several times anyway, because you're trying to figure out what you want to do. I just didn't feel like that's where I wanted to go in my life. So I was kind of trying to figure something else out. And then Saturn came up. I was good at sales, so I did that. And then that's the first time I actually was exposed to PDR. I remember
At a Saturn dealership?
and you laugh at that because the Saturn had plastic panels, but we had a whole used car inventory.
Yeah.
So those had to get taken care of. And that's when because I remember I got a new car when I first went to college, and somebody dinged me in the parking lot with a shopping cart, and I'm like, damn it, I wish there was a way to fix that. And then, a few years later, I'm at a Saturn dealership, and I'm like, oh, there's a guy that does this. And he'd come in, he did some hail cars for us that were, we were just blown away because we'd never seen anything like that. 1997, like that was still kind of early days.
So for those that don't know, Saturn had, and help me here, plastic side panels, but metal roofs and hoods.
Yeah, trunks, yeah.
And trunks. But all the doors were sides. And they weren't even they were like a kayak plastic. I don't know what you would
It was a polymer plastic. You could get, like, my karate instructor came in and kicked the door because we had a car in the showroom that was like cut in half, and so you could see how it was constructed.
Yeah.
And my karate instructor came in, he wailed on the thing a couple times and didn't do any damage.
I would see some that when they would get exposed to the sun and the UV, and they would dry out, and then they would eventually crack and become brittle. And
that's pretty much all plastics, though.
Yeah.
The UVs does a lot of damage.
Yeah. So
Is that why that didn't take on more? The plastic panels?
I don't know what happened with Saturn initially, because we'd see Saturns coming in 200,000 miles on them easy. Is that a metal timing chain? There was no timing belt. I just think they just didn't get the following that Honda, Toyota, some of the other brands did, and I think maybe there's some money problems later. They tried the EV early.
Really?
Yeah, when I first went out to Spring Hill where the factory was. We had to go there for training. And we saw one of the first EVs there.
It was Saturn. Did it start as an independent dealership? Because I knew eventually it was owned by GM, right?
They were always part of GM.
Always. Okay. So GM was trying to do something different,
Right.
fill a hole in the market.
And that was kind of their thing. It was the different car companies. Why everything was upfront pricing. There was no haggling. The construction of the car was different than the normal unibody construction.
I'm trying to remember their slogan. I remember their slogan said something unique like that. Like
yeah, it was something like that.
We're different, or
Kind of a vibe of Subaru, kind of, I would say. Right? Love or something like that.
I don't.
I'm just saying, like, a similar vibe, I feel like.
Well, Subaru definitely does have a cult following.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. That was right when I was coming on the scene, and as far as PDR, I remember I was already doing dents, and then I got exposed to the Saturn dealership, and then I started sweating like, oh gosh,
This is
as soon
the
as I
end.
get into this, now they're made out of plastic.
That's what
Great.
everybody was thinking too. They were like, "Oh, the car in 10 years, all the cars will have plastic body panels." And
Yeah.
that didn't work out.
I mean, there's a lot of cars that are still made out of plastic. Like a lot of the Suburbans a lot of rear hatches are plastic. Obviously, front and rear bumpers are plastic. Some like Mitsubishi Outlander fenders are plastic. So they are making some stuff plastic. But I think for the most part,
I think the BMW had on the X3. I think they had a plastic fenders.
the X6 is also they had these big plastic fenders. But I think people just want metal cars.
Did you see Ram is making control arms out of plastic on their new truck?
Oh my gosh.
Did you see that?
I'm a little scared of that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like plastic molded control arms. I just saw that.
No.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's the industry, I think, is everything's trying to get cheaper, lighter,
Yeah.
and more disposable.
So this dent guy comes in, he does some hail damage. Who is this guy?
I can't remember his name now. He was only with us for a little while, and then he unfortunately passed away. And then his replacement was a guy named Jamie Hawkins. And if you've been around the industry for a while, you've heard of Jamie. You've probably met Jamie. And at the time, Dent Wizard was giving an incentive to get people hired on. I was part of the Carolina franchise, so we weren't a corporate group. We weren't like with the main corporate group.
So you would have been part of the franchise with Jeff Byerly.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Garrett.
Garrett was one of my managers. Because I've known Garrett since I started in the business. We had 3 owners: Paul, Mike, and George. They were the partners, and we had North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. I want to say Colorado, and they had Hawaii, but I think Hawaii was just for a tax write-off.
Yeah.
So they could go business trips over there.
Very smart.
But I mean, we did well. We when I got out of school, they moved me to South Carolina.
Where did you go to school?
We went to school in St. Louis.
Okay.
So we had training there in St. Louis. Did the whole, that whole thing.
That was in 97? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I started, I signed in May 97, and I started June. So I was there June and July. So
Who would have been your trainer?
I had Gary Payne, Brad Beach, and Tim. What was Tim's last name? He just passed away too. He was one of the Dent Wizard trainers. Tim White.
Tim White, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gary was really, he was one of the old school Dent guys, and he was really good to me. He taught me a lot while I was there.
I don't remember Gary. I remember the name. I know Steve, obviously.
Now, Gary might have left because there was a while that he left training. It was helping open up other markets for Dent Wizard corporate. He was there he was there when I was there. So
that makes sense because what you just said, because I started in 98, but not with Dent Wizard. I started with a local company.
Okay.
And then in 2000 is when they bought all the franchises back. And they bought the company locally here that I worked for.
and then you had to go get retrained.
Then I had to go get retrained. Garrett Griffith and Jeff Byerly came down here and helped the transition all the techs. That's how I know those guys. But then I had to go to St. Louis for 2 weeks and do the retraining. And that's where I got introduced to Steve. But maybe Gary was out on the road.
Yeah, Gary's probably out at that
doing
point.
other stuff.
Now I saw him at one of the mobile tech expos, which was kind of cool because I hadn't seen him in years, and he just came up on me. But he's working. I think he's still working with KHS now.
Okay.
So what was your impression of training, Dent Wizard training?
It was tough, but I was very focused too. Like I wanted to make something. So I worked. I was a little overweight when I started. I worked out every night after training all day.
Wow.
In that heat. I lost like 30 pounds that first month, and I was very focused. I was in the top of my class like the whole time. Gary would take me away like to the side. And he, I think it was like my third week or second week. He took a Johnson and smacked a trunk line, a hard body line. He's like, "That's your dent for today." And I'm like, "Well, everybody else is working on a soft body line." He's like, "Well, this is your dent." And so I'm working on it. And then one of our owners comes in. I think it might have been maybe Mike O'Brien. I think he came in and he was asking me, what I was doing, and because they were showing me how to do the hard body line, and I didn't know really what I was doing at the time. I was just like, "Here, you fix this. This is yours for today." So Gary took me, and I mean, our class was really good. Like even though there's probably 20 of us started, and I think only 10 of us finished.
Wow.
We had really we were out doing lot work. It was 8 weeks training. By week 6, we were out doing lot work.
That's a big chunk of the class to fall away right like that.
Yeah, some people quit, others got cut. Because when you first start, well, since you didn't start your training there, but did you start your training?
I
there?
did. Yep.
So you're upside down,
Yes.
like all day long working on a door. And
Yep.
Some people cut the first week, like they're just like, "I'm not doing this," and plus it was hot. June and July, so hot.
So when I went, the stakes for me, I could not fail that. Like I had my first child was on the way, and it was like if I would have failed that, I would have, in my mind, I would have failed as a human. So like I had, I had high
had to
stakes.
succeed.
Did you have a similar mindset?
Yeah, because it was just I was on my own, so I had to do something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to go back because when I left Saturn, my general manager's like, "I'll keep your desk empty for you for you to come back." I'm like, "I'm not coming back." And so that was my mindset. I'm not going back there.
Wow.
Do you think that some of the I just want to get your opinion. I think I know your answer, but I want to get your opinion on it. Some of the training, some of that integrity is lost. Like I remember the old school days of Dent Wizard training, and like you said, there was probably a 50% failure rate. I think that would be unacceptable for them now because I think they would want to push people through. Like the standard was the bar, wasn't just pushing through people through training. And I feel like now maybe it's shifted and it's like, well, they're good enough. Let's just get them on the road and they'll figure it out. Do you think there's been like a loss in that integrity over time?
I do think the standards have changed some, and that goes with the market too. At the time, when we all were first starting, there wasn't a lot of technicians out there, and you didn't really have a lot of choices if you wanted to get into dent repair. Dent Wizard was one of the biggest companies, and that was one of the few places you could learn this trade and get the tools. And I remember at the time with our franchise, especially, like they wanted you to have a college degree. We had to get eye tests, so I had contacts already.
You had to have a college degree.
Yeah, they wanted you to have a college degree.
Wow.
Which I don't think they don't require that anymore. But they were very strict on their standards because that was, that's how they wanted to put out the best, and they wanted to get the best prices and have the best product and the best customer service, best service, period. And that's with anything, markets change, flooding of the markets, independent companies, training, especially the availability of tools. Because remember, you couldn't just buy tools. I think was Dentcraft like one of the first ones that come out with tools that you could buy yourself, that you had to be part of a company to buy.
I remember Dentcraft and Ultra were the two that when I started were kind of like the.
And then we had A1 later and Anson. I remember going to Texas, and my first hail light was from A1, with the old fluorescent tubes and all that. And I remember stopping at Anson. I was in Texas to buy others. So it wasn't an Adventure. You had Adventure here. But I really think it was Dentcraft, probably Dentcraft and Ultra were some of the first ones I know. And then was it Adventure. But at the time, in 97, the late 90s, it wasn't really available. And there's no internet. You can't really, there was, but it wasn't like it is now. You can just search for PDR tools and have 1,000 pages come up.
I'd always call and get a catalog.
Dude, yes, that Dentcraft catalog.
Yeah, gotta have the catalog.
So, what do y'all know about what year Anson started selling tools?
I don't know. I know when I was out, I guess it was 2002 when Fort Worth had that big hailstorm. That's the first time I actually started traveling to do hail. I would do hail as part of the Carolina franchise. North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee would get hit with hail. And our franchise would always make it available to the route techs. Like, hey, if you guys want to make some extra money, you can come help with the storm for the weekend or a few days. So we always did some hail, but that storm in Fort Worth was my first time going out and doing hail full time. I'd moved out to California with Eric Fogg, another guy from my franchise, and we were working at an auction south of L.A. doing all like the lease turnbacks, and then they had a management change.
So you moved out there to still work for Dent Wizard?
No, we were working for a company called Dent Pro, a guy named Angelo up in New York. He's actually a good friend of mine now. He had a deal to do all this company's lease cars. And so he sent us out there, and we were working at the auction. And then they had a management change, which is like the old story. It was an upper management change, and then they decided to change things, and they hired somebody cheaper. We managed to get it back, but it wasn't the same as we had before. It had to lower our prices. So then when Fort Worth got hit, there was a company called Dentology.
Yep.
And so we knew those guys, and they called and said, hey, do you or Eric want to go out here to work for us? And so I went. And then I had some other friends with Dentology. John Bradley was with my franchise. He was working out with them, and that was a huge storm. I think every company in the country was there doing dents because like the whole airport got hit. So all the rental cars. And that was my first time at a big storm, and I did really well. And after that, I kind of had my reputation, so I would get called in more storms, and it started kind of snowballing like that.
So take us, like, time travel us back to that storm. What did that look like? What were guys using? Like, what was like?
There were tents everywhere. I don't even know. We didn't really have carts. We had like Walmart utility bins that we drilled holes in to use as carts. And we worked, because you could work there 24 hours if you wanted. I remember I took a nap in the trunk of a town car. It was like late night. It was so hot. It was definitely different. Like
all fluorescent lights, all plug in,
all fluorescent, like cords everywhere. We didn't have like the hail rods like you have now. So I was using my Johnson, which is a Dent Wizard tool with the round tip.
Were you under a big tent?
Yeah, giant tent.
Was everybody using some kind of light, or were they using reflection boards or anything, or was it?
No, I think everybody pretty much had lights. Yeah. If I remember correctly.
Probably stuff that they Frankensteined up, or was this like
even like our mini lights that we used. Remember when Dent Wizard first started making lights? Well, our first lights were, a utility light bungee corded to a
like a shop light,
to a reflection board. Then we started using the RV lights with the fluorescent tubes, and I was making. Dent Wizard had the 12-inch ones. I was making 18-inch ones. And that's what we were using on the cars. And I used to travel with that, too. When I went to Italy, we traveled with two 18-inch lights instead of a 36, two 18-inch fluorescents, which was...
Was that plug into a wall, or you plug into the lighter?
Lighter.
Yeah.
Or hooked to the car batteries.
Yeah.
We obviously want to talk about one of the reasons Carl is here, because he makes some amazing lights. So we really want to go down the light discussion. But,
Well, you know, when we, well, especially when we started early in the late '90s, when the guys started early '90s, a lot of stuff you had to make it yourself if you wanted it. I think my class was the first one to get metal knockdowns. Before they had all plastic, which I wish I'd kept my original knockdown because I was like kind of sentimental. But later on, a friend of mine with Dent Wizard gave me a metal knockdown, so I keep that on my bench now. But we had to make our own lights, like everything. You had to make most of your own stuff. You can just buy it. You couldn't find it online, and I think that's what kind of started to produce our own thing. So we were working a storm. I guess it was 2008 when they first started using LEDs in the lights, and we had my friend Anthony Spencer. We were working at a Jaguar dealership doing hail, and you still had to plug it into the car, and he was dragging this cord across this Jaguar, and
Like across the top of the paint.
yeah. And so Anthony's like, dude, there's got to be something better than this. So I went home and just started trying different batteries, different kinds of LEDs. I had stuff all over my house, like doing run tests. And my wife's like, what's going on here?
Did you have any background in any of this, or was this all just experimental learning for you?
It's all experimental.
You didn't go to school for anything?
No, I had very limited. I had a little bit of like soldering knowledge, and my oldest brother was an audiophile, so he would, solder like tube amps and stuff. Like he was he played guitar, so he'd fix guitars, change the pickups in them and stuff like that. So I had a little bit of exposure and experience doing soldering, but not a lot of it. But I had no experience with batteries and LEDs and all that. So it was all just tests and experiment. Like I literally had stuff everywhere in the house doing run tests to see what combinations worked, what lasted. Because you want to find that balance where between weight and runtime. I wanted something lightweight, but something that would give you a good amount of hours of work. Because I don't want to keep changing the battery or have something that only lasted like an hour, because that really didn't do you any good. So it took a while. And then the first lights, because we lived in a condo, the first ones I was hand making all the housings out of aluminum. So I'd bend them and I'd rivet them and wire them, and then word started getting out, and then we finally started snowballing, and I had to start hiring a company to produce some of the parts for us. So we had a company in Atlanta that made the metal parts for us, and I had a company in Vegas that made the plastic end caps for us, and then we still did all the wiring in-house.
So at first, were you just trying to figure it out for you and maybe your friends?
Yes. So 100%. Because I was still doing a route. We worked for an auto mall, and then Rico was born in 2009. I think 2010, upper management change, and we lost the auto mall, which was like probably 80% of our income. My wife did sales for me. Alma would go walk the lots and get the car sold, and then I'd fix them. And they decided they wanted to go with a bigger company. Ironically, it was Dent Wizard. Because Dent Wizard could do everything. Dent Wizard was doing at the time. Dent Wizard started doing interior, windshields, wheels, paint, and dent repair. So that hurt us. It was right in the hail season, so I couldn't get back out to make money. We started falling behind on payments on our house.
No way.
Yeah, and then I remember I got an offer to go to Germany. So I went to Germany, and I remember on the plane I was crying because I was like, I'm leaving my son, my wife. When you go overseas, you're in the hole. Like, you got to pay for your flight, your tools. And I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. And it
So this is like credit card, credit card and everything.
It helped us short term, but we ended up losing our house.
No way.
Yeah, it went into foreclosure. And then I found a house for us to rent, and I had a shop on the island, so I closed the shop. We moved into this house and moved the whole light operation to the garage. So initially it was just my wife and I in the garage, wiring these and building them and shipping and selling them. And then later we started getting busier and busier and hired some friends to help us. We hired family in the summer to help us. And then I think 2019, we had a hailstorm in Hilton Head in 2018, in 2019, I had enough capital to buy a building, so we bought a building on the island, and that's where we work now.
So back that up a minute. So you went from building lights and figuring this out, like you didn't know what the battery would be or whatever. So you went from figuring it out, like prototyping for you and your buddies, and then at some point it turned into like when did it turn into like this is a thing, or what kind of shine a light on that like this is a need and there's lots of
This
people.
could be a business.
Because there was it like, did you have like a website or was this all word of mouth?
Yeah,
stuff?
we had a website, but initially it was all word of mouth. You still had some of the Dent forums, and I've been around for a while, so I have a lot of friends with Dent Wizard. A lot of people knew me, and then when my friends would have the lights, they started telling their friends about it, and then they were like, "Hey, we need this," and like I said, just kind of snowballed into our business now.
So you just kept refining and
Yeah, and we've had we learned a lot along the way. My wife, fortunately, is a industrial engineer, so that I'm sure that's definitely helped us, with some things. But it was just a matter of figuring out, from this supplier to that supplier, this type of battery, this type of LED. We've made it. We're always trying to make improvements. We're still not happy with. There's still room to make it better.
Sure.
And we've come a long way since then. Like we used to have some issues with our battery, so we found a new supplier for that. Try to make something stronger, something that can survive drops. Because guys are tough on their tool. I'm very particular about my stuff, so I'm probably more gentle on it, and a lot of people. But even sending stuff out, because whenever I make something new, I send them out to different people that I know for testing. And even though we do that, and they try and put it through the ringer as much as possible, we'll still have stuff fail once it goes into full production and goes out to people. They'll new environment or just new way of using it or something. Somebody will find a way for it to fail.
Yeah. Even like if you do most of the development of a product, this is kind of stuff that we found out in the winter, and then in the summer it expands or something, and then it changes something really minor, and you're like, oh, it's a problem you would have never known until it experiences different climates.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I had a really good
You
thought.
keep thinking. But so we're talking about this a few days ago, just about, you come out with a product and it's doing well, like people love it, but like you literally cannot just be like, okay, this product's good, now let me do something else. Like you have to keep making it better, because somebody else is going to just take that, improve it a little bit, and then boom, now theirs is better. And it's like you have to keep improving everything constantly. Like
Or even the copying. The copying has gotten kind of out of control. So now I have several patents on different tools. I've spent a lot of money on defending those patents. Our latest one, we've been trying to get some listings removed from Amazon, which back in the day they would remove you in a heartbeat, but now they're like, oh well, you need to email them, and then my attorney's involved, and we had one of our tools was listed on Amazon. There's like 20 listings of this tool, and we have 2 patents on this tool. Message Amazon, they're like, oh, we flagged them, and they're like, no, you just have to contact them. So we contacted them, and they're like, we don't care. Contacted the sellers. And then once the attorney got involved, a lot of them backed down. So now we're down to like, I think 3 listings left on Amazon. But Amazon still, even though...
Are they all different people copying, or is it all the same?
What we think is happening, what I've seen happen, is that it seems like there's at least one manufacturer that seems to be their MO. They will copy all our tools. They have copies of Kiko's tools. They have copies of our tools. He found some Anson stuff.
You know where they're at, where they're located?
I do. They're a foreign company.
Can you say what country?
I'm not going to say what country. But that just seems to be how they do business. Is they'll just take our hard work and ideas and just capitalize on it.
Yeah.
So I think one of our strategies now is, we would try and do like little sneak peeks for the technicians to show them, hey, this is what we're working on. Just something that we have, coming soon. And now I'm not going to do that anymore. Like I did it with the fan because I've had that for years. We just kind of finalized it this year. And, if you want to try and copy it, go for it. I mean, but now I have tools that we're not even going to release for a while because like it hurts. Like it hurts you. Like you put so much time and money and focus of your energy into a product just to have somebody take it and copy it. Like it sucks. Like it's like somebody hit you in the gut.
Yeah, if we have something that is like a big thing for us, that's like, we think it's going to be a home run tool, then we'll usually try to wait until just before MTE. So we'll release it with the hopes of releasing it at MTE, but we'll do it just late enough that where no one's really going to be able to copy it before you reveal it at MTE. So like, what we're trying to do, what Dent Slayer's trying to do, is rely on the integrity of the tool industry and the PDR industry, because you're not going to be able to, like you said, you're fighting Amazon and everyone's copying, and you're trying to hold back this wave of water that it's almost impossible to do. And so what do? Like you have to just kind of, in my opinion, you just kind of have to rally the industry and continually try to educate people on why they should buy Carl's stuff, not the knockoff one on Amazon, and why this one is, you're not just buying the tool, you're supporting the tool maker into future endeavors, into telling them to continue building. Like that's how I see it. I mean, when you buy a cheap copy, if I buy a cheap copy of yours, I'm taking all the energy and out of the wind out of your sales and all that blood, sweat, and tears of the development from that tool, and I'm not rewarding you for any of that. I'm rewarding this other copier who all they did was take your image and render it and copy it, and they have no investment in it.
Well, and ultimately, you're going to stifle innovation.
You stifle innovation because eventually, if that happens to you over and over and over, you're going to be like, "Hey, man, forget it. It's not worth it. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to go back to fixing my dents and doing my stuff because I can control that, and I'm not going to innovate." You're going to reward the copiers, and you're going to devalue all the innovators, and you only stifle innovation. That's why I think if you care about the PDR industry for any amount of time that you want to be in this industry, then if you buy those copies, then you're not putting equity back into your industry.
Right.
It's a bad move for you as a technician if you want future innovation to make your job easier, faster, whatever it is.
Look how much the tool look how much tools have advanced in the past 10, 15 years.
Sure.
Like all the new things have come out, all the better tools than what we used to have, things that make you faster and better and help you make more money. And that's ultimately what it is. You want technicians to make more money. You want to help them make money. And I tell guys that too, if you have a problem with our product, let us know. I'll do my best to help you with it. A lot of times, with the lights especially, it could be just a cord. If you shorten a cord, it's, a few bucks to replace the cord. I've seen some guys where they just put the light to the side and don't want to use it instead of just letting us know and getting it fixed. I'm like, I'm not here just to take your money. I want you making money. I want you making money with my products. I want you to be better with my products. Or our products, we take a lot of pride in what we do. We still hand wire. Up to the summer, I put together all the XL lights. All the halo lights are finalized by me. Felix wires them. The summer, my oldest son's been able to come in, and he's helped a lot doing that and giving me some time to work on some other things that I need to. We have another girl, she just wires 18-inch lights. It's not like we're mass producing these, somewhere.
Sure.
It's all done right there in Hilton Head. And then Alma, she stays on top of the orders. She makes sure they get out. For me, I'm like, I'll get it to you as fast as I can. She wants them out that day, which a lot of times lately we've been able to do more because we're able to kind of get ahead on some things. But even, we have our regular customers, but we also have our distributors. And distributor demand has been a lot higher. We've had to put off, we just took on a distributor in Italy, which I've put off for 2 years because I didn't want to take on something that I couldn't handle. I don't want to not be able to fulfill his orders. And I've been putting off another distributor in Japan because of that, which after the summer, we're going to be working on that. In staffing, it's hard. It's hard to find, quality people because I want to put out a quality product. I want you to have a quality product, and that requires quality people to build them,
I remember one of my first lights was the Dent Wizard one that they issue you, which is a
Cigarette lighter.
It's a fluorescent, 12-inch fluorescent bulb.
Yeah, the thin light. The
thin light. It's got that polycarbonate lens that cracks if you touch it. It's
and the bulbs were always failing, and you're always trying to hit it. And
it was made out of this, thin aluminum with these sharp edges, meaning it was die cut or whatever, and it wasn't if you touched a car with it, it was scratched. And then it had this polycarbonate lens, and they give you little covers you can put over it to try to prevent that. But that polycarbonate lens, I think it was polycarbonate. If you sat it down wrong, it would crack. And
I think those were acrylic because they were
acrylic.
Heat forming those
to
fit the light.
And if they would crack, and then if that thing cracked, then you were dead because you couldn't hardly rig it at all the way it fit on there. But I remember because I'm getting kind of sick of the bulbs, and I think I was browsing around Home Depot, and I saw some little small LED neon looking stuff, and I went and gutted it all and changed it over to. I still have it. It's in the back. It's in the backpack. I ripped it all out and changed it all over, and it works somewhat, but it just kind of illuminated. It doesn't. There's definitely a science to how a PDR light is made over just it's not just illuminating the panel. We know that. So I tried doing that, and I was like, this is not working out. Whatever.
Those fluorescent bulbs drove me nuts.
Yeah, that's why I tried swapping it over.
It's really bad if you work overseas. Because when I'd go out the country with that, if you dropped it, you can't find replacements.
Oh,
they don't have the same bulbs over there. So you'd have to bring replacements with you just in case. So the LEDs have definitely made a big difference. I remember it was years ago at one of the Mobile Tech Expos. They had just come out with that electroluminescent film to put on the cars. You guys know that? What I'm
the wraps?
Yeah. This was like a sheet. So it was paper thin. It looked like laminated paper. So we started experimenting with those to try and make a light with that. But that's what it did, is glowed. And it never was bright enough. I still have some of those. So we put it on the back of acrylic, and it was light up the fog line. It never was bright enough to. I took one with me to New Zealand, and it was super dark in the warehouse. I was able to use it there. But if you were in a tent situation or anywhere you had a lot of ambient light, you couldn't really use it.
Yeah, years ago, one of my first MTEs, I went to a really early one that was in Tampa. I don't remember what year it was. I don't really remember much from that, so I'm not referring to that one. But the first one that I really remember, the tools and the vendors, was, I'm pretty sure it was 2013, which is when I think I might have met you, or and then there was another guy that I think he was an Italian tool maker. I've never seen him again, but he had this really cool little illuminated light board.
That was I think it was from France. XL Tools.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
And it was as thin as a piece of Lexan. I mean, there was no space in between, but I think it was lines or some kind of thing on it, and you plug it in, and it was really cool. There was no bulb, and I don't know if that was.
They were LEDs, but they were side emitting, so it would be around the lens, so it kind of projected light in instead of how our LEDs project light out.
Yeah. Huh. But I remember that guy.
Oh, he made really nice looking tools. Like the lights look really
He
good.
made some carbon fiber stuff too. Like he had a really interesting, but I've never heard of him again. But I think honestly, I met you there. I think that was where we connected originally. I think I remember seeing you get out of your 4Runner. Do you have a 4Runner back
Not a
then?
Sequoia.
Sequoia?
Yeah.
White?
Yep.
Yeah. And I remember seeing him. Because, I was nobody back then. I showing up and seeing Carl unload these bags. And
Did you already know about the lights? You've heard of him, but you'd never met him before?
yeah, I'd heard of him.
Were you like, oh, that's not what I thought he looked like?
No,
I do get that. You're like, I thought you'd be an old white dude.
Yes. Like old ragged out white guy.
old Carl.
Smoking a pack a day. Carl Stucky. This is sidetrack. Do y'all watch Ryan Trahan on YouTube? You know who that is?
No,
No.
I don't.
Well, he's got a series going right now.
Is he the Joyride guy?
Yes.
My son watches him.
Oh yeah. So he's doing a series.
Where he goes to all the states and they're raising money for St. Jude's.
Yes.
He's already raised like what, $5 million or
Yes.
something.
So on the last night's episode, we watch it every day. It's like a wholesome thing you can watch with your family. So he has this suitcase that lights up called the Wheel of Doom. Whenever somebody donates over 50,000 or over, this thing lights up, and then he has to do like a side quest or makes it harder. And it's probably got a cell signal or whatever, and it lights up, and it was dead. And he was like, oh, the Wheel of Doom's dead. So he's like, now I have to go find a battery and like fix this thing. And he goes and finds a battery at Best Buy, opens the thing up, and he's like, oh, it was just unplugged. And so this guy's doing a big thing, and he's having troubles with his mobile light, and it was just unplugged. He just plugged it back in.
We get that too.
He should have come to you for building that thing.
Yeah, I've never watched. The kids watch him, but
Yeah.
those YouTube, the way that they edit that, to me, my brain, it's so annoying. Like, I don't know, it's just constantly intense. I don't know. I don't like how I can't watch that stuff.
I just remember because I guess it was a few weeks ago, they were doing some kind of contest where he's like, my youngest son, Cesar, was like, Dad, we got to go to Target. And I'm like, why?
Yes.
He's like, because the Joyride guy needs this. And I'm like, I said, Cesar, it's Saturday afternoon. So in Hilton Head, we live right off the island, and traffic going onto the island after about 1 o'clock is horrendous. Like we don't usually leave the neighborhood Saturday afternoon if we can help it. And I'm like, dude, this Saturday afternoon, we're not leaving the neighborhood because it'll take us an hour to get back home. We only live like 10 miles from Target. This traffic just is it crawls. So I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm like, he'll be fine. He got plenty of YouTube people watching him. He doesn't need us.
And that candy is expensive. It's like $5 a bag.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. But of course, we bought a bunch of it because
you gotta support him.
it's such a cool thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty cool to raise that kind of money for St. Jude's because they do a lot for the children.
Yes. Super cool.
How much have they raised?
Over $5 million.
Yeah, I think initially he was just trying to raise $1 million, and he hasn't even got halfway through, right? And
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And all kinds of people come out of the woodwork to support, donate and everything. It's cool. Sorry about that. That was a total derail, but I had mobile light wiring issue. I had to bring it up.
It happens.
Yeah, I think the next slide after that one failed. So I started chasing hail in 2013, and I bought an Ultra one because it was just kind of I think it was Elliot. It might have been a bulb. I had the bulb housing, like that triangle Ultra.
Okay.
Housing.
Yes.
And that was like, I just have to have one to start, to get started. And then I think that had like one strip in it. And then that season, I working beside everybody, you kind of see what's out there. Like, oh, this sucks. And so my travels took me to Minneapolis We were working at a body shop up there, and I realized that's where Pro PDR was. And I called and ordered a fathead light, which I still have, by the way. And Bill Hewlett delivered it to the job site. And that's when I met Bill. And then I think he had a mini light too that he might have introduced right after with a little separate blue battery pack that I bought off of him at some point. But that was just, and then I remember after that season coming home, and one of my friends had just started doing dents, and I need a little bit of help, kind of training, getting him up to speed. But he was using a Stucky light, and it was like, oh my gosh, this thing is really sick. That was the first
He
time
had it. Reed had that thing.
Reed had a Stucky light. I think it was.
I thought you got it for him. Well, he got it at Dent Wizard School.
Maybe I did buy one on the road. I think I did buy a mini light of yours on the road that first year.
Did Dent Wizard ever use Stucky lights in training?
And they still do. Like we actually make all of Dent Wizard reflection boards also. So we make standard equipment for Dent Wizard reflection boards.
Like the translucent
like the
fog line?
Yeah. So
wow.
Originally Dent Wizard would paint the fog line.
Oh, I remember that. And then they just
yeah. I remember Brad would sit there and just be spray painting this thing all day.
Uh-huh.
So that was, it's not very consistent. So we came up with a printed fog line that's very close, but it's always consistent. And so we started making them for Dent Wizard. So all their reflection boards come from us now. And then they've been back and forth between us and some other companies for lighting. They did have our older 18-inch light model, and we had a DeWalt adapter because they wanted to use DeWalt. Since then, they're using our 12-inch lights too with our batteries because they're lighter and they last longer. And then I think they got a few hail lights, like KHS and their hail team. They'll order lights from us.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a while there, Dent Wizard, like I said, they go back and forth. Just depends on the class. But they'll issue our lights and they'll issue other lights just to see how they work out.
What I love about your lights, and I use my version like this.
Oh, you get older 18.
It's something about the way that it shines outside as opposed to some of the other brands, which I won't mention, but like yours, if you're outside and you need a light, the other ones, to me, I don't know if it's in my eyes, I don't know what it is, if it's the LEDs, but that one shows up much better outside.
Well, that's the nice thing, a lot of what we do is preference, right? You prefer certain tools over what I prefer, and so it's kind of nice to have some options out there to figure out what works best for you.
Yeah, I've got like 3 or 4 different ones, but that one to me is the most efficient for me running outside on my wholesale accounts. I usually run with a reflection board. I'm a little faster with a reflection board. I don't want to pull a light unless I have to.
Yeah, and I don't get I'm used to reflection board too for outside, and we'll get calls like, I can't work without my light. And I'm like, but you work outside when you use a reflection board. Yeah, and I get it.
I can't use a reflection board anymore.
It's hard. I can't use
a light.
I can't use a single line one. I can use a double line. Because even my last year or so with Dent Wizard, I switched over to a double line reflection board, and that worked so much better. Because that's how I use my light too. I don't just look at in between the strips. I use like each strip depending on what level I want to be at on the repair. And it's the same thing with the double lines. So you look down in the dent with one line, and then as you're finishing, you move to the other line, to the lower line to finish the dent.
Yeah.
So your first light was a mini light? Yeah.
Yeah, the first one we made a 12 and an 18.
So when you were like, okay, this is a business, like we're gonna make a business out of this, and like it was public, was it like a slow build and then it like kind of peaked and everything got saturated and it leveled out, or has it just been build constantly?
It's pretty much build. Like even during COVID, we were fortunate to be kind of sheltered from that. Like I said, automotive industry was still going very strong, and you know, the longer we're out, the more people come to us. And like I said, we stand behind our products. We're always trying to make it better. I am a technician too. I mean, I still do work on cars sometimes. I do a few cars a month, and I try to. The nice thing about when I was a hail technician was I got to constantly testing products, constantly exposed to other techs and getting their opinions. You know, you mentioned Bill Hewlett. I did hail with Bill before, like Sal Giuliano with Dent Gear. I did hail with Sal. You know, we were all technicians back in the day before we started making these tools.
So I never chased hail, so I've never experienced this. But just from talking to Matt and listening to you right now, it seems like when you're in a setting where you have a bunch of guys working, innovation with tools is like very easy because you have so many people that you can bounce ideas off of. I mean, I know you've kind of refined one of our popular products basically like in a tent with a bunch of hail guys.
Well, you have a good sampling right at your disposal, you know, whether or not it's just opinions or you can give it to them to try and they can run through and different, you know, the way that they're left-handed, right-handed, strong, weak, tall, skinny, short, fat, you know, all different types of body types that can run through stuff and tell you what they like or what you don't. So that hail environment is just like a really good place to develop and test products. I mean, in my opinion, and it's really good. That's where the ideas to me come from, because I'm like the AR9 came up in a tent on the fly, watching people work, and then running around to different guys, talking to them about what do you like, what do you not like, make it like this, don't make it like this, not like this, make it this long, and you're kind of like okay, and you're like putting it all together in your head based on these guys who are good technicians, their valuable input they can put into you instantly. And you can really bring something kind of a working prototype really quickly. And I mean, that's what I did.
Yeah, I took we went to a storm in Boston. I had my 3D printer with me. I was printing stuff in the room during the day to test out while we were out in the field. And you know the Talon wedge that we have, that thing is super popular. I didn't make that. I was in a storm in Greenville, South Carolina, and one of my friends was like, hey, this technician is 3D printing these things. Check this out. And it was that wedge. So I talked to a guy named Brian Long, and we made a deal for us to kind of take over the design and get them out. But I wouldn't have had that. The world probably wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for being at the hailstorm.
Yeah.
Because he would just 3D print a few and then selling them on eBay. And then we took over, did them injection molded out of a stronger material, and it really blew up. Like that wedge has been super popular.
Yeah, I love that wedge.
Yeah, I like to spin it on my finger.
How much has 3D printing changed the industry for you in a good way, a bad way? Like what?
Really good. I mean, even at the beginning when we first started, when we moved from making housings out of metal and parts out of metal to looking at more plastics, like our first, the first design of the battery holders at the time, I couldn't afford the mold when we first started. And then as we had more capital and I would go do hailstorms, I would use that money to invest in tools and inventory. We always 3D prototypes first before we go to mold, because you know molds are very expensive and then it costs a lot to change them. Sometimes you got to scrap them. So 3D printing is huge for us. Like I'll do if I can't make a bigger part, I'll source it. I'll have another company make the part for us so that we can test it and make sure that dimensions are right, that everything fits properly before we have something molded. I have a resin printer that we can make small parts on that are dimensionally accurate. 3D printing has been huge for us. Because I'm a hands-on kind of person, so I can conceptualize things, but it's easier when I get it in my hands. I'm like, okay, well, this needs to be changed, or just like, you know, that's one of the best things about going to the expo is you can get your hands on all these different tools. I remember when the first double tip hail rods came over, I think they were first started in Italy, but when they first started making them in the U.S., the Ultra tool truck came through. We were working in St. Louis, and I got that tool in my, because initially I was like, I don't know about this thing. And I got it in my hands. I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. So I bought one, used it, and then all my friends bought one after that because it just made you faster.
Yeah.
Especially once you got used to dialing in that soft tip, moving that metal pretty fast and then finishing with the sharp tip. I mean, I can blow through roofs with that tool. And that was like, but I would never have tried it if I wouldn't actually been able to get it in my hands. I wouldn't have just ordered it online. So that's one of the nice things about going to some of the shows, that you actually can get your hands on the tools and see them and figure out how you can use it.
Do you attend, when did you start going to MTE? And like, what does or do you try to make it a point to attend to every MTE?
We do. It's a lot of stress trying to get ready for it, and get the displays out and have our staff there. But it definitely helped propel us. I can't remember what year. It might have been 2010 was the first time I showed our tools at an MTE, and I think we're still at the Creve Royale, and Mike Toledo had a little booth outside of the main exhibit hall, and he let me use half his table to showcase our lights. And the next year we got our own booth, and then the year after that we got 2 booths, and we've been every show except for, I think it was 21 they didn't have the show because of COVID. I think it was 22 we didn't make the show. There's only been one show we've missed since then, and that was because I was having some problems with my hip still, and it's just a lot.
No interest in going to any international shows?
We do. It's just hard. That's the hardest thing for us, because we're a small family company. There's only like a handful of us, and if we're not there producing tools, we don't have anything to sell, or we can't ship. So we have had that talk. We are going to try and get out a little more in the next few years, especially maybe if my oldest son wants to help. He's been doing a really good job helping us in the shop, help do some of these shows. And then we're trying to work on some new ways of displaying that we can travel with better. Because that's the hard part, is displaying and having inventory to sell at the show. Because that's what we like to have, a lot of inventory on hand, so you can just you can leave, with your product instead of, okay, well, I have to order it, But that's, I guess, a little harder to do with the overseas shows. But now that we have distributors, like we have Dentec Tools in the Netherlands, the distributor in Italy, not DB, but it's the other guy.
Is it
Maggiano?
Il Mago.
Yes.
Il Maggio Tools.
Yes. He just started, and he does a great job promoting. He's always making videos.
Yeah.
And then if we start distributing in Japan, that'll make it a little easier to show in those places, because we can ship stuff to the distributors. And even if we're just there to help the distributors, like I did one show in Vegas, and I just went to help talk about our products with our distributors, so that if anybody had any questions or needed some other product knowledge that I have more firsthand knowledge of. So yes, you will see us getting out a little more.
So that's what. So you went to Vegas. You didn't take anything. You were just there as a resource.
Right.
Yeah. Are you going this year? PDR Expo?
Unfortunately, no. We won't be. We'll be catching up on some stuff. 'Cause I was out. I had my hip replaced back in May, so I was out for a few weeks with that. And now we're still trying to catch up on orders, and we're taking off. We'll have limited staff for like the last week of July, because the poor kids have been home all summer, so we at least got to take them somewhere for a summer trip.
Anywhere fun?
Yeah, we're going to Mexico.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we're going down to Tulum.
Oh, wow.
My wife's from Mexico. I actually met her when I was working down there on a hailstorm with some friends. We met through mutual friends.
No way.
And then we started dating, and after 3 years, she moved up to South Carolina. We got married.
Wow. So just to mention, the PDR Expo, September 19th and 20th in Las Vegas. That's coming up. I've never been. Matt's going.
Yep, this is going to be our first year going for Dent Slayer.
It'll be a good show, because the thing that I found at that show is that you have more of the West Coast technicians, not as many hail technicians for that, but it's kind of nice that those guys that don't get to come from the West Coast to actually get to meet them and talk with them, and they have a chance to pick your brain about things and your tools because they don't normally make it to the Orlando show. So that was the one nice thing that I really took away from the Vegas show was meeting those things. In the Orlando show, it does seem like you have a lot more hail technicians at that show, and definitely a lot more Midwest and East Coast technicians at that show.
Never been to Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, my wife twisted my arm, which she didn't have to twist it hard. But she's like, we need to go. So we just had our 24th year anniversary this year.
Oh, congratulations!
And we didn't go anywhere, not just because it's busy right now for us, and we have a couple of big companies that we have to continue to work for, and it's harder to break away. You know. So anyhow, we didn't go anywhere this year, and so she's like, "Oh, let's just go and kind of two birds with one stone." So she's got us lined up for stuff at the Sphere, and
Oh, cool.
What at the Sphere?
yeah,
What do you know what you're seeing there?
I think it's some Wizard of Oz thing. That's the only thing
Okay.
playing.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, that
But
place
still-
looks insane.
still,
Have you
yeah.
been to that, girl?
No, because that was after last time I was in Vegas.
So we got tickets for that, and then we're going to go to that Quickie Mart. That's like
Oh yeah, the forum with the Libubus and stuff.
it's a maze.
Oh, I don't know that one.
No, this one's like a maze.
What one are you
I
talking
thought you were
about?
talking about the Asian market where they had the little doll things.
I don't know about
I
this.
might want to go to that too.
I don't know about this.
No, this one's called, I forget what it's called, but it's like it's like a maze. You go in there and you go in like the Pepsi door to get a Pepsi, and it goes through into like this whole other room, and it turns into like another tunnel, and so I don't know.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really, really awesome. So we're gonna go to that, and obviously the Expo, which I'm looking forward to because I've never been, and I've never got to meet all those West Coast techs unless they've come to mobile to Orlando. Then I have, but so yeah, we haven't announced that really yet, but we are going to be doing that this year. So looking forward to it.
It'll be good. I mean, we're going to try and get out there again eventually. Just like I said, it's just hard because September, now we're gearing up for Black Friday. And then after Black Friday, we're gearing up for the Expo. It's just like, and then right after Expo, it's hail season. There's not really a good time to break away unless we just kind of break it down to minimal staff and merchandise, available.
So for the PDR Expo coming up, will you have companies there selling your products that people can come see?
Yeah, normally A1 or Anson will have our products that available for people because they'll usually contact us if we're not going. They'll take so we go, then it's one of those things they got to carry.
Yeah.
But if we're not there, they definitely will have some stuff on hand.
Is there anything here we want to talk about real quick?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, while we're like now, or
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just kind of wanted to ask you, like, just from your perspective, what makes your tools, your lights in particular, like what makes them unique?
Well, our main thing is we have a proprietary battery that we use because it's what I found was I know there's convenience of having a power tool battery, but to have the same capacity battery, you also have a heavier battery. So for us, we try to make something as lightweight as possible and as long lasting as possible. So like for our hail lights, we use a bit bigger battery, but it'll run 3 strips for 5 or 6 hours. On our 12-inch light, the little tiny battery is a small 3-cell battery. It'll run 3 strips for like all day, and the same with our 18. So we kind of find that balance there between weight and run time, because that's the thing. You want your light to last as long as possible. We do have some new designs that will be coming out within the next year, and we will be revisiting the power tool adapter. So what's on the books now is we will have a holder you can use our battery, Ryobi battery, or then you can do the adapters after that and use DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita. So you'll have different options to power your light. Our lights are, I designed something for me to use. So what you see in our lights is what I see, is what I use to see the best I can. Our reflection may not be for everybody, especially our halights. Is very, very detailed. You're going to see everything in there, and for some people, it's hard to know where to stop. I mean, we always strive for perfection, right? But you can't always get perfection. So the thing, I guess, to learn the most with our lights is to know where once you get to a certain point, you can't just keep going, or you're going to keep wasting your time because you're not going to get that. But you're still going to see something. But once you remove the light, you'll never see it.
Sure.
And even with other lights, in testing and other people's opinions, we've seen that the softer fades are more forgiving. So you can complete something with a softer fade, and then you put our light on it with a sharper fade, and you can see more in it. Not necessarily that it's a bad repair, but that you're going to see the finer details with the sharper fade.
Right on. So you basically, from the bottom up on your lights, you're creating the perfect light, and then you're creating the battery to fit what you want. So your platform is not built around something else.
No, and then we also kind of, with our mini lights especially, we've kind of designed them in a way that are modular. So there's a cable that plugs in from the base. That cable is a wearable part. It will wear down over time. We just have new spiral cables now, so that helps alleviate some of that and gives you a little more room if you want to add more lock line, because some techs like a longer lock line than others. And you can if you have one base, you can buy the head separate. So if you have that base with the 3-inch power cup, you can just swap it right out for this. And that's what I normally do at the shop. I have a couple of heads laying around, and I'll just swap out.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so you can just pop the head off if you want to do it. I don't know if you want to show it. You can just pop this head off here and
Try to hit the mic.
And there you go. And you can swap it out with a different head. Oh, and you can change the offset, so you can put it where it's in the center.
Or
Give us a little tour of these products.
Okay, so this is our newest 18, and this comes in, since we're doing 5 strip configurations on these. We have either warm, cool, warm, cool, warm, or cool, warm, cool, warm, cool. And then
That's a 5 strip.
Yeah, these are all the new 18s are 5 strips. So we just had the 2 configurations for those. Here, I only brought one battery. So. I don't know how well this will show up on the camera.
Show up.
And you can turn each strip on individually and dim it.
Huh.
So if I use this one with my hail light, I'll put it like that because I use my hail light warm, cool, warm, and I kind of like that transition between them.
Yeah.
And then if I need more surface area to look at, I'll use it like this.
It's kind of an extension.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I do the same thing with my 12. I run it the same as my hail light, so I'll have warm, cool, warm. And with this one being shorter and wider, it looks a lot like a mini XL hail light.
Okay.
This is our newest 18. It's got the panel. There's a circuitry in there to run all that, and then
This originally was a metal frame, right? This one.
they started out as metal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had a metal one.
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So it would have been metal with plastic end caps.
Yep.
This is really soft. What is?
So this is silicone. but it's got an additive to it, so it doesn't get all sticky. The same with the 12-inch light. And this 12 has 6 strips, and you can change them all. So you can do all those individually to dimmer. And this one has the new 3-inch power cup, which is kind of nice once you turn it on.
That thing is very small, very compact.
And it suctions real fast. So you just turn on once to suction.
That's it.
Wow.
And you hit it twice to release it.
Boom.
And that's got, how many strips does that one have?
This one's 6 strips.
6 strips.
So all the 12s are, we only have one configuration for 12 since this is more narrow, we kept this one at 5 strips. And then you can change, this is my personal light, so that's why I painted it. It's customized. We had different colors for the trim. So it's a silicone sleeve that you can remove or change out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So little grooves.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. You got one on here that's got skulls on it.
That's old.
Sold out.
That's old. Yeah, that's old.
Yeah. Mine's got skulls.
Yeah, yours has skulls.
Mine's wrapped. I don't have it here. It's in my van because I use it outside.
We'll sell the new one. So we still make some of the old 18s. Dent Wizard uses some of those. Dean King uses the older, sells the older 18s. And then this model we just came out with last year of the new 18.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, we used to do hydrographics. We still have a few left. And then we were trying to do wraps on them. And Matt was fortunate enough to get one of the few, because I think we only did like a handful. So you have one of the few out there.
Yeah. I'll never let go of that thing.
So this is called the Slim Stucky 5-strip.
Yeah, we had a voting contest for the name, and Derek Kessler won.
And this is called the 12-inch Stucky light pad.
Yep.
Boom.
What do you think is better, or the advantage of having the long, narrow one of the?
For a lot of hail guys, like the longer light, because they have more surface area, like width ways to look at. A lot of route guys like the smaller, wider light, because it's better on side panels. I use them both. It kind of boils down to preference. You know, if you want a little bit wider light, they're both made super durable. This one actually is probably more durable for drops. It's a different material. Unfortunately, we can't use the same material for larger lights because the material warps. So that's like as big as we can make it. But they're made. We're designing things now that can withstand falling off a car, dropping at the back of your truck.
Using it as a blending hammer.
Yeah.
Does this arm quick disconnect out to, or no? Out of the housing there?
No. Well, yeah, you can pop it out, but so we designed this so there's no soldering. All the electronics and stuff are in the light itself. From here, it's just a cable that plugs into the battery and runs and plugs into the light. So that's field replaceable. So if you break your cable, you just unscrew the holder, and you can change the cable out.
I like simple, man.
And then the cable is designed to unplug versus breaking. If some guy, I don't twist my light around that much, but when you're on route and you're fast, you're moving that light constantly. So it's designed to break loose. Versus
that connection can spin, right?
Yeah,
like that's a constant spinning connection.
It does spin. So.
Yeah. Yeah, every once a month, I'll pop mine off and unravel it because it just gets.
Yeah, I think the new coil cables are going to help that some because that coil and the cable will take up some of that.
Yeah. So, tell me briefly about this auto suction. Like you said, that thing's pretty cool, man. Like it's very small. It's got a digital readout on the front of it here, and it sucks down pretty quick. Oh, there's no.
You just got to turn it on. So you gotta hold it down to turn it on.
Oh, okay.
And then once it's on, you just click once to start the suction.
Yeah, that's
Now we don't manufacture these cups, just like the metal cups. We don't manufacture them either. We have we buy them from a manufacturer, and we've tested lots of different ones. We really like this one because it does suction very fast. It's a USB-C charge, lasts a long time. Like we put one up and left it on the door for like a week. Now, granted, that's just constant suction. Mm-hmm. If you're popping it and moving it around, it's going to use the battery more. But even on route, we have guys going like a week without charging it.
so. This battery for the suction cup is different from the battery in the
Yeah,
light.
the battery's built into the suction cup, and that's
Okay.
with both power cups have their own battery, and you charge them separately. Now, on our next version of holders, since our batteries do have a USB out, we're going to open that up so that you'll actually be able to plug it in, because you can use this while you charge it. So you'll be able to plug it into your battery if you need to.
Okay, super cool.
And then this one's kind of cool because it's got different ports on the side that you can add. So like for
Those threaded? Are those, those
so-
threaded mounts?
Yeah, the 1/4 thread. For my brother, we put one with a shade board, so you can shade it.
Oh, yeah.
When we're working on a route. Somebody suggested putting a fan on lock line, so I got a little mini fan coming that we're going to try that with. And then I was thinking a phone holder so you could video your dent repair.
Yeah. Maybe a heat gun thing too, but it might be too.
That thing might be too much for that. You
yeah.
might have to go with one with the bigger cup for
Yeah.
that.
Super cool.
But there's some options.
What tips would you give if a guy's like, how do I make my light last as long as possible? Any like maintenance tips?
Yes. Don't leave it in the car in the heat. The heat is, and that's even with your drills. Heat is bad for your batteries. And just normal, if you do just a little bit of routine maintenance, like Matt says, he'll uncoil his cable, once a month or every 2 months. Making sure you don't leave it out in the rain. It gets water's the enemy of electronics. And when I know that sometimes you're working in the rain, sometimes you're working in the snow, it happens, and they can tolerate a certain amount of that. We do see a lot of these lights come in, and they've been really abused, poor things. And I get
It's kind of a tribute to, though, right?
You're running around, you're throwing it down on the lot, on the asphalt. But with anything, if you take care of it, like your cell phone, most of us got cases for our cell phone, right? You're not just going to throw that in the back of your truck. So if you kind of take a little bit of time to do some preventive things with your electronics, especially your lights, they'll last longer.
Yeah. Do you have is there any science behind why I think this shows better outside? Do you think is it just something unique to me, or is it something about your LED or your lens or anything like that?
I still think it's a preference thing, because we use different LEDs than some of our competitors. We do brightness tests on them, so we do have a light meter, and we'll test the lumens and how much penetrates through. We also have a different lens than they have, so it's probably a combination of things. Your eyes, like I can work with it outside. My brother and a lot of Dent Wizard technicians use them outside.
I think it's kind of a general consensus that your lights show better outside.
Mm-hmm.
Like not just me. I mean, when I get on the forums or the Facebook, Facebook is the new forum. When I get on Facebook, that seems to be get the Stucky one if you're working outside. It just shows.
Oh, that's good to
Better.
know. Yeah, I think so. It's all preference. Like it's what works for you.
Yeah.
I told my son Rico that and my brother that when they were training. I'm like, I'm going to show you how I do something, but that might not be necessarily the best way for you to do the same repair. I might be taller, my arms might be longer. I'm going to leverage different than you. You still need to find what works for you.
Yeah.
Are you selling this thing right here? What do we got here?
So this is the fan that we've used this fan a lot. This fan's probably 7-8 years old. My former hail partner Tim Payne, he would put it under the hood when he's working on the hoods, and we just kind of finalized it this year. So we ran it. We did run tests on it, and it went over 8 hours on full speed. Nice blower fan. It's got 2 speeds. You can adjust it. We're going to have it where it's just the fan with the battery, and then you'll be able to add the 5-inch power suction cup to it, which is kind of nice. We used it on a truck the other day. We were working. We just suctioned it to the side and had it blow on us.
Is that the same? That's the same battery as your large halides?
Yeah. So we have 2 battery types. We have the mini battery, which is used for all the mini lights, and then we have the XL battery, which will be used for this and our glue gun and the 2 model of 36-inch lights that we have, the Pico and the XL.
That thing's that thing blows, man. He turned it on a minute ago when we were setting up, and it thing kicks.
That's good.
Now it will quiet. This one's a little older, so it's a little more noisy because it's been in body shops and stuff and it's collected that dust. When they're brand new, they're really quiet.
Sure. That's pretty cool. I'm trying to, I'm working outside. I'm mobile. I'm here in Florida, and it is absolutely brutal right now. In my shop, we were out there walking around in my shop, and if I move, I turn a fan on me. I mean, it's not even fun. And so when we go outside to the dealers, I will set up a tent that gets you out of the glaring sun, but it's still like working in a sauna. And so now I'm running a generator. I got a little Harbor Freight generator, and I'll have to pull out a Harbor Freight fan and set it up. And it works. It's great, but it's obviously not less than ideal. And then when it starts raining, because it rains every day, when it starts raining, it's a mad scramble to
Pick up all the
put everything back together. And so did that the other day, man, on me, and I went home with absolutely soaking wet shoes and socks because you're putting everything together away in the rain. But that I could see coming in very handy. Working on the panel. Maybe there's even a way to. I'm trying to think if there's a way to like put it on your pack out.
Yeah, you could just take the suction cup off, and then there are actually 2 mount holes underneath here, like where we put the ball mount. So I'm sure you could secure it to your pack out.
But
That'd be pretty cool.
That's super cool.
I've worked in a lot of people's garages, and you would think just out on a lot would be hotter, but dude, if you're in a little garage and there's no air movement, it is bad.
Yeah.
So I gotta have a fan in there. Yeah.
Like, so we had it for a long time, and I used to make, when our first son was born, Rico, in 2009, I actually made him a fan for a stroller with lock line and clamp, and I wish I'd gone further with that idea because now they're everywhere. You see the stroller fans everywhere, and I was like, if I'd had the money at the time to capitalized on my idea, then I might not be doing the PDR light business anymore. But things happen.
Well, that has potential for a stroller fan right there. I mean, you could totally. It might not mount to the stroller like with that suction cup, but like that thing is.
I took this to when I was still recovering from my hip surgery. I took my youngest son to the pool a couple of times, and I can't get wet. You can't get submerged while your sutures are healing. So I took this with me, and I could just sit there. At least had a little bit of breeze.
Yeah.
On me.
No, that's pretty sick. My mind's just going crazy right now thinking about it.
Yeah, we have them coming in, so they're ready once they come in, and you just have to do the assembly on them.
And then what is this guy?
So we've been playing with this. This is the same power cup. It's got the USB-C charge. We like this because it's got a double seal on it, so it helps make sure it stays suction down. And this is a mount for the Never Loose. Now I did a video the other day to kind of showcase. The only downside on putting your Never Loose on here is that the Never Loose wasn't made to be perpendicular to the magnet, the ball part of it. So if you you go to wrench that thing down, you'll disengage the ball because you're leveraging up against the magnet.
Yeah.
But other than that, you can use it normally. Like it'll just spin around like the normal never loose. We did this because we've had several requests for guys that want to just, like use it without a stand. Like, if you're in a tight shop, you're around lifts. We also do have a 1-inch ball mount for our lights, for our headlights that you can use with the same suction cup to go standless.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, especially for route guys, you guys can put this on the windshield to work the back of the hood, or the back glass to work the trunk, and get that light all the way across without breaking out a whole stand.
Yeah.
And you can see it takes a lot.
So you could pop, you could have that with the same female socket, so to speak, and just pop the light head off and stick it on there. And
Yeah, I think Todd says that I think they sell the balls separate too. So I think you'd have to have buy the magnet.
you know where else that would be good is on the really tall vans, like the transit vans, where you just
you can't get the stand
up. You just can't get the stand up, or it's just a pain in the butt to get up that high. You know, because we do. I mean, we just did one here a couple weeks ago. That's why I had that big old scaffolding set up, because we do these big transit vans, and you know, you're trying to get your light back there. Obviously, you can get a mini light like this, which is why these are made. But to be able to get your full size light up there,
that makes a big difference.
If you're a hill guy and you're limited on what you bring around, you could throw that up there and throw your whole thing up. That's pretty cool. Like, there's the innovativeness that we're talking about. Like, that's the support. Look at all this, you know. But that's why we should support the tool builders themselves and not the knockoffs, man.
Right on. So are y'all cool moving on to these questions that I asked y'all?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you study a lot for this?
I did. I was up all night.
So I just sent a couple questions to these two guys. I felt like these were helpful things that our audience would appreciate their answers to. So the first one, you've both spent some time chasing hail. So I said, you don't have to do 5, but I said give your top 5 tips for being a successful hail chaser that you would give to somebody about to start their first season. Don't have to give 5, but top tips. Rookie hail chaser.
So someone who's about to start their first season.
Mm-hmm.
So I know
they know how to fix dents already.
So literally, someone called me yesterday that I took through some training here this year. I won't mention her name; it's not important. But they said, I just quit my job like yesterday, and I'm going all in. Right? I mean, so this is a real thing for real people. That's like, you know, it can be stressful. So I know my first year, which was the hardest part. So there's a couple parts. I will say there's the family dynamic, which is its own little separate thing. Then you're going to have the skill dynamic, which is going to be a learning. There's going to be a lot there you got to figure out. And then there's a financial dynamic, so they're all kind of separate, but obviously so make sure, if your family matters to you, make sure that family dynamic is solid, because you're going to be away. You're going to be under a lot of stress. Your spouse is going to be away, potentially under a lot of stress. And I would say a traveling hill guy life is not for everyone. So if being separate from your spouse for long durations of time, if you can't endure that in a relationship in a healthy way, maybe you shouldn't chase hail if your family matters to you, right? I mean, I would say hopefully your relationship can withstand a little bit of time. And there can be rewarding benefits to that, because you go on for a little bit and you come back and it can be really good, you know? So make sure your family dynamic is rock solid. And then that gets into kids too. And then, I mean, it's a whole rabbit hole of, you know, with that. But I mean, you definitely don't want to jeopardize that. That should probably be the most valuable thing you're considering is can my family endure this, either my kids or my wife or me being gone for long durations of time? I mean, I don't know what the normal guys are doing now. You can go out and chase for a couple weeks or a month. I mean, when I'd go, I'd be gone for 9-10 months, like not come home for 10 months. So that can be hard if you're gone that long as opposed to a couple weeks. So, you know, there's lots of different ways to do it. So consider that. The other thing I would say would be the skill. I mean, you're going to get humbled really fast, and that's good. That's a really good thing. That's probably one of the best things that can happen to you is you can get exposed to a lot better, faster, cleaner, more efficient ways to do things. And if you're a student, if you can position yourself as a learner and just absorb from anybody around you, your growth will just skyrocket. You know, if you go in there with some kind of ego or some kind of arrogance that you got anything figured out, you're going to get humbled immediately. I remember the first storm I got sent on was Atlanta in 2013, and it was just destroyed stuff, where I was at least. Big, nasty stuff. I had fixed hail here in Jacksonville on the rental car companies that come around, and it's nickel dime stuff, and it's like, oh, I can fix hail. And then you go, you know, to the deep end of the pool where there's these big shots, and it's got to be perfect. Like, we're not replacing this. You have to fix it, and you have to belly up to the bar and do it. Like, there's no option, and you have to get good fast. And so you're going to be humbled. It will happen, and you have to just accept the process and mentally prepare yourself for that. Because if you're not, you're gonna ring the bell and go home and go back to flipping burgers or whatever you're doing prior. But if you can just mentally lock in and be a student, then that's huge. And then financial, I would say, you're gonna hopefully, when the stars align, you're gonna make some good money. I mean, you're probably gonna struggle for a while. It's gonna be hard to. You'll probably, even struggling, you'll probably make potentially better money than what you were doing. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just guessing about that, but you still might go into making some pretty decent money pretty fast. So, I would say you're going to have to reinvest some of that into tools, right? Like, you're going to learn really quick what I need, what I don't have. Like I said about my light I started out with, as soon as I got on a couple jobs, I realized really quick, like, holy crap, like, this is totally inadequate for me to keep up with the people, you know, what I'm doing. So you're going to learn your equipment and probably have to buy some new stuff and spend the money on the things you need to spend it on, which is maybe some of that stuff to upgrade your abilities. But you are probably going to have a very long off season that you're going to have to, that money that you make is going to have to carry you through that off season. And I know that was the most difficult thing for me. The family thing, we had solid. My family traveled with me. The skill thing, you know, I'm always a student. I'm not saying I was the best, but I will position myself like I can lock in and make myself a student. I was there to learn the craft. And so the hardest thing was the financial carryover, and I didn't prepare myself enough in that season to carry me over into the next season.
I think that's one of the hardest things, the budget. Like, especially if you're not used to that, used to having a constant income or at least monthly income, that when you're especially if you're making some good money, you're like, oh, I can pay this off and I can do this and I can buy this that I've been wanting for a while. Yeah, you got to think about the off season. And then you don't know what storm's coming up next. Like, even right now, there's not a whole lot of work sitting out there this season. Like, there's some really top names in the hail business that were posting not too long ago that they were finishing up and they were looking for the next storm, and there hasn't been a lot.
I came home that first year. I was told you're done for the season in October, which is pretty early. And to go home, we got nothing for you. And
October's early? I thought that's. I mean,
I mean, it depends on where you're at.
well, financially.
Financially,
Yeah. For you, it was
for me,
too early.
It was really early, and I didn't. I won't say what the dollar amount is that I had in the bank, but it wasn't. I was thinking, okay, it's October. Realistically, it might not heal till April. Okay, so that's a lot. That's 6 months.
Yeah.
That's got to get me. And you start doing the math. Okay, what's going out per month? And I'm like,
Math ain't math.
It's not gonna work. Like I will be back flipping burger. And so I was like, I need to go to Australia. And so my mindset, I got to go. And it didn't work out with my visa. So I couldn't go to Australia. So I missed that, because I was counting on going, right? And the only thing that saved me that first year, I tried to come back, because I was with Dent Wizard. I tried to come back. I tried to do some training, like try to like help.
You're trying to figure it out.
Trying to, just get some income coming in with Dent Wizard. And I offered to do some training with them to help them. And they were like, no, thanks, we're good. And I'm just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, so when I came back, I opened my own LLC, which was all out. I started that year because I was like, I can't trust someone else providing for me. So I have to be able to go to a body shop and do a car on my own if need be. I didn't want to. Like, I was working for Dent Wizard, but I was like, you're not working me. I have to pay bills. I'm going to go do this. So I opened my LLC immediately. Started all out then. And then
wow, I didn't know that.
Luckily, there was a ice storm damage that happened in Vermont, in Burlington, Vermont, and St. Albans, New York, that they had like a freeze and a thaw and a freeze and a thaw and a freeze and a thaw.
I remember this.
And there was just layers of ice on these cars, and the salesman at two different dealerships, about 50 miles apart from each other, went around with hammers and was cracking the ice
Hammers?
off. Whatever they used.
Something.
Cracking the ice off of these cars. And it worked, but in the process, transfer of energy, it dented these cars all around. And so we went, the manager, it was one of the best jobs I've ever done, dent for dollar, because they priced it at full retail, no discount, no nothing. And we got our percentage off of that. And it paid really well. And it was just me and my brother. It was in January, so like it was really cold, and we had to work inside the shops at night. I mean, it was in the teens or negative sometimes, but that job lasted us like 2 or 3 weeks, and we made some good money. Again, dent for dollar, we made good money, and that carried me into the next year. I don't remember when I went that next year, but it barely squeezed me through. So, moral of the story, financially prepare yourself, because you might be making really good money now and you're crushing it because it's your first year, and like you're looking at everybody else around you with the jacked up trucks and the side-by-sides and the fun toys and all these things. Don't be tempted to do that, because they might have a surplus. Obviously, hopefully they have a surplus and you don't yet. And you need to build that surplus, build that nest egg, so to speak, sit on that thing until next season when you have that extra, because you don't know when that next season's coming. I was told that guys, I mean, like some guys wouldn't go to work till like July, they would just be dry, or maybe just opportunity to present itself. So they'd sit from like October till July. So, financially prepare yourself and don't be sucked into the toy buying, the needless toy buying.
Well, even if you do get out to work that first storm, the first storms are always usually the worst. Like the price, everybody's hungry, everybody's trying to make a little bit of money, and they will go rock bottom just to get the job. So even if you get out the first storm, you may not make that much money.
Sure.
Did you do all of them?
So So I would say that
family, financial,
skill. Those
top
are
three.
The three things.
Big three.
Yeah.
What you got, Carl?
So I would say especially for someone starting, is you have to network. You have to meet people, whether you go to the expos or any kind of trade shows or local tech meetups. And if you don't have in the industry, you don't have someone, because you can't sit at home and wait for somebody to call you if you're just starting out. You're going to have to bite the bullet and just ride out to that storm and see if you can find a place to work sometimes. And initially, it's going to suck. You're going to have to go do some demos for people and show them that you have skills. And you definitely need to check Facebook or check around with friends that are in the industry to see who you're working for, because like a lot of us have those stories where we didn't get paid for jobs or we got ripped on jobs. And with that, you might be on a wholesale deal, which is not going to be really good money, but there's going to be a lot of cars. Sometimes it takes a while to build up to a retail gig where you're at a body shop and you're making good percentage and you're making good money because you're getting insurance estimates on these cars. So that's one major thing, is that you can't sit at home waiting for that call. You have to, like, especially when you first start, you have to go out there, you have to show what you can do, and you have to build your reputation. And then once you do that, for a year or so, you'll start getting calls, or you might partner up with somebody while you're out on the road, and then they have contacts. And then between the two of you, you usually can stay busy. I do like working with a partner. I work by myself a lot of times, or I'd work with a group of friends. After that Germany deal, before we lost our house, I met a guy there named Tim Payne. And Tim's the ex-wizard from the Virginia, D.C. area. Great tech. And we just clicked, and we worked really well together. Even on a really bad deal, we would just put in hours and make the money. And we just worked, and we had fun. Like we got along really well. We still do. So if you're lucky enough to find somebody like that, and then between the two of us, we had different sets of contacts. So we could usually stay pretty busy. Because I would know somebody that got hit here, or he might know somebody got hit on the other side of the country. So networking is a big thing, and you have to just put yourself out there as much as it sucks. And you might not make much money that first storm. You might be putting everything on your credit card, but if you don't get yourself out there, you're not going to find the work. Like, people aren't just going to call you. Like, hey, I heard you're new at Hale. Why don't you come work for me?
Yeah.
So just for someone who doesn't know, what would you look for in a partner that would work for you?
I guess it depends on your personality, but one of the biggest things is that you both work. Like, I've worked with guys, especially when you're splitting cars, they're like, well, I already did my half of the car. You have to finish your half of the car. Well, cars aren't always hit the same. And if I'm doing a rail and you're doing the trunk, you might get through that faster than I get through the rail. But the bottom line is you don't get paid on that car till the car's done. So you want a partner that's going to work with you till the car's done. So like Tim and I usually do rails and sides. I'm pretty fast at glue pulling. Tim would start on hoods and trunks, and then whenever we finish, we start on the roof. We might meet on the roof. Sometimes we might not. Like, Tim might finish most of the car before I finish the rail. But if that rail doesn't get done, the car doesn't get paid. So you can't have somebody that thinks, well, that's not fair. I mean, sometimes I'm through stuff before him, but that's not, you can't look at it that way. You got to look at your team, and the team has got to get the car done, because you don't get paid till the car's done. And then you move on to the next car. So my big thing is, I'm not a greedy person. I don't like greedy people. Like, I will help you. I will do anything I can for you. And I would like a partner the same. So, and just you want somebody that kind of goes along with your personality,
Well, you got to get someone who's somewhat the same efficiency or skill set.
Yes,
as you.
that does make a big difference too. Because if you have somebody that's not at your level or close to your level, there'll be a big difference in the amount of work that you get through. And sometimes, if it's a good friend or family and you're trying to help them get up to speed, you can tolerate that. But when you're on the road and your family's depending on that money, yeah, you need to be hustling and getting through those cars. So that was, Tim and I have been doing this about the same amount of time. So we matched really well. Like I said, I'm really fast at glue pulling. He's fast at pushing, and we get through the cars.
Have you ever heard of people who were partnered up and there was an obvious difference in skill level and productivity, and they kind of made a deal where, hey, I know I'm not as good as you, so let's not do 50-50, but let's change the percentage to make that fair. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's common.
I would say, I don't know how common that is, but I know that's a thing.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Especially when if you take somebody under your wing and you're trying to help them get proficient and get up to your level. I've seen that.
Seems like both people have to trust each other.
Oh, yeah.
I trust you to do the right thing. You trust me, and we're on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing for your partner.
Yeah, I just camping there for a second. Like when I trained your brother, it was, I said, dude, I'm going to put you on this panel, and I don't care if it takes you 4 days. I mean, like, I don't care if it takes you a long time. Mm-hmm. But when you tell me it's done, I need to know that it's done. Like, don't tell me it's done, and then it's not done, and then we assume it's done, and then it gets somewhere down the line of the progression, and then it comes back that it's not done, and then we got to pull it back in here and pull a headliner and redo it or whatever. Like I would rather it take you longer and it be done than you try to rifle through something fast and do it halfway, because now you're messing up the whole flow of stuff. So the trust is, if it's done, don't tell me it's done until it is done. So you have to be able to trust that person, just, even on the panel that they're working on. There's lots of games that can be played if you don't have the right person for trust. People are sly, and they could play games for you, against you, with you. It could be nasty out there if you. That would probably be the first thing I would say above anything is, can I trust this person?
Yeah.
Right. Because
Wow.
if you can't, then that's a bad move altogether. Because, man, when you put guys by themselves, essentially away from their families with whatever stresses that incurs, and then you throw large amounts of money at that, and then you throw other people, peers or peer pressure into that mix. That's just a horrible, horrible ingredients for just bad nature to come out, unless you have the right person that you can trust.
Wow.
That's huge. To have, and then even at a storm, don't be a dick. Like, don't cherry pick, take, the good with the bad. You're going to see it. You're going to see guys that are getting preferential treatment or they're playing the games. For me personally, I just stay out of it. I do my thing. I make my money. I go home. I'm there. I'm not there to have a good time. I'm there to make money for my family. If you're a single guy, you still got to make money for yourself. So that, networking, find a good, if you can, find a good partner, because that also, a good partner helps motivate you too, because if they're working faster, you're going to try and work faster. You can kind of, and you'll see that if you go to a shop, if they're really good techs there and they're getting through damage, you're going to push harder to get through the damage, and it'll make you faster. Like Matt said, invest in your equipment and don't go crazy. Like, a little bit at a time, see what people are using, try different things. And you have to have the full arsenal. You have to have your glue pulling kit. You have to have your lights. You have to have, different rods, long tools, because you don't, like on route, you don't need those long paddle tools, but you do for hail. You don't need that hail bar on route, but you will when you get out there and you start working on Suburbans and vans and things like that. You're going to need equipment like a quick bench. there's a lot of things that you're going to find that you're going to need doing hail that you didn't need during route or doing just normal retail damage. Also, you want to make sure that you're putting yourself out there in a good light, especially when you're starting, because you don't want to be known as that guy always having a problem, always complaining, always crying about something, because you won't get called back.
Yeah.
And you won't, and people will hear about you and they won't call you either. So you want to be easy to work with. You want to try and always do your best. And after a while, you will get those calls and you'll have people bring you to storms and you'll get some good deals sometimes. And there's going to be a big difference between wholesale and retail. If you're good enough to get to work at a factory deal, that's a different animal too. There's a lot of different aspects to hail. It's not just there's a bunch of dents on the cars. There's different levels of quality that's expected. There's different levels of income, and each deal is a little different. I remember we worked at a deal in Oklahoma, and the dealership got hit with a tornado. And there were rust in the dents. There were holes in the bumpers, but we were just supposed to fluff them up enough that they would look decent. That's all that you could really do with these besides body shop them. And that's the deal. And at that point, you have to kind of dial back what your expectation of quality is. You have to do what the job demands. Otherwise, you're not going to make any money.
Yeah, so I like what you just said, is that you have to adjust to the rules of the game. Like on a wholesale, I'm not talking about play games with other technicians. That's not the games I'm talking about. What I'm saying is you go on a wholesale job and the rules of the game are X, then you have to be able to play by those rules, but also make money. And then you go into a retail shop where the rules of the game are let's just say a wholesale is hey man, these got to be 95%. I need you to do them fast. There's another company trying to get this, and we have to get these cars out in order to keep the contract. Because if we don't do them fast enough, they're going to bring another company in. And so in order to keep all the work here, we got to go fast and get through cars. And so if you're doing too good a job sometimes on these cars and you're taking forever, then you're not moving the needle for the dealership and they'll bring in somebody else. You could lose the job. As opposed to a retail shop where it's man, I don't care how fast you go. I mean, go slow. I need these cars done perfect, right? And so you have to be able to adjust to the needs of the gig. I know for a fact that the Greenville, South Carolina BMW job was on. That was that situation to where the quality was perfect, and then Dent Wizard KHS was getting threatened with losing the job and then bringing in other guys, and so they lessened the QC.
Yeah, but that was tough. 'Cause I was there when it first started, and they pulled them in 2 different light tunnels to inspect the cars. They had white gloves. I wear arm sleeves when I work on cars because I get the pollen and stuff on the cars, make me break out. So then they started wanting that because you wouldn't leave sweat prints on the car. But the QC was brutal. You couldn't. Well, we use hole straighteners now, but the holes, had to be flattened out. If you stood in the car on the door sills, you had to cover it with towel or sheet or something. It was rough.
Mm-hmm.
And for the money they wanted to give too for the cars, we went back. I know we got called out. We got called out a few times, and at that point, it wasn't even about get your car and fix it. You just grab a car and you fix what you see is wrong with it.
Yeah,
it wouldn't even be your car. So that didn't last very long for me there, but it was hard. And we've been to storms like that where, especially it's a new car. Your expectation is that it looks new again, and it's not everybody can do that. That's not a job for usually a beginner tech either.
On that job, I was there for 90 days. And towards the end of the job, they moved me and my brother. There was like 6 of us. They moved inside to do redos because everybody was moving so fast to these cars towards the end because they're trying to maintain
That quality.
the speed, the amount, the how many cars they were doing a day.
So you're saying they were threatened with losing the job because they were going too slow?
Yes. So they needed more done. And if they didn't
Who
provide that.
Who was picking out flaws? Was it BMW or who was slowing it down with the QC process? The BMW people or?
No, the company we work for had their own QC people that they do.
Oh,
but
see,
then,
when I was there, it was BMW that was QCing the cars.
but then they go through again. Like that's the first QC is like internal
Okay.
company.
Yeah.
And then it goes through this other QC.
Got it.
And they put me with BMW QC. So, and what they would want was how many cars, like, let's just say BMW would want, okay, Dent Wizard, how many cars did you guys get through today? And if it was 100, then it's like, oh, we need more done. So it's like, oh, we need to get to 150 to 200. And so then Dent Wizard lightened their QC to get it through, but then it comes through the German QC, which was where I was, and it was like, these aren't getting. And so I would have to Carl, we had cars come in where the entire one side was still dents, the entire side, to where I'm in there and I'm like,
Like untouched dents or
untouched,
Oh,
like
no.
untouched side.
Whoops.
And
I can believe it.
And it was to me, it was just, oh, they're just trying to maintain the quota. If they can
Just send
fluff it on the front end, oh yeah, we did 200 a day, and then it comes to me, and then it bogs down back here. It just lets them get
It's a game.
another day, that they can keep prolonging it until they get through the cars. So
But how do you figure out what people are getting paid? Like, how were you getting paid? Were you getting like a salary or something?
for me,
Yeah.
I was getting a daily rate to
Wow.
do the redos. And the technicians are getting a per car price on the outside of the tent.
Yeah.
So you can see the frustration for me.
Oh my goodness.
So anyhow, again, the point of what we're talking about is there's games that the rules of the game, and you have to kind of play by the rules of the game, and you kind of have to adapt to what those rules are.
Wow.
All maintaining your integrity and building a solid reputation.
Wow.
Because I also saw on that job, people get walked out of that job because they weren't meeting the criteria. Like the guy next to me, I won't say his name. You'll know who I'm talking about. I'll tell you off camera. But they came to him and said, "You have to do a better job." And he said, "You don't understand. This is the best I can do." He said, "This is the best I can do." And they were like, "Well, we need better." And he's like, "I'm sorry, I can't do any better." And they're like, "Well, you got," and he was gone. So like, there's certain know the rules of the game, and you have to adapt, but you have to build your reputation. I think your reputation is one of the most important things you will ever build in this business. And if you don't take that seriously, you're going to build a reputation. It's just not going to be the one you want. That's going to get you onto the next job. And so you have to put everything into building, who you are, your work, your quality, your work ethic, your character, trustworthiness. All those things are what gives you this awesome reputation that will in turn be that equity that gets you onto those next jobs.
And that's something I've always struggled with in my dent career because I'm very much a perfectionist. I like it when I finish a panel, it looks like glass. Like you're not going to find something on there. And that's something that I had to learn to dial back. And that's, Tim helped me with that. He's like, "You're done, dude. It's good." And even when I went back to route work, because my wife and I decided to get married, going back to the family thing, she's like, well, I'm not moving up from Mexico and leaving my career and my family and everything behind if you're going to be gone for half the year at least. And, 100%, I get that. So I went back. We started doing route work at Auto Mall. And even at the wholesale prices, I still was doing retail quality. And that's something I always struggle with. I'm like, I want to make that better, but I'm not getting paid to make that better. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. And that's why I'm telling my oldest son now, while he's learning, I'm like, you have the time, learn to make it perfect. If you can make every dent perfect, then you can always dial it back later.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to dial it up. I've seen that from a lot of people. Like I have friends that did route for 3 years and did dealer work, wholesale dealer work, and then they get on their first hailstorm and they're struggling. And I'm like, well, what have you been doing for the past 3 years? Like, good enough. And I'm like, well, good enough is not enough now. And so it was really hard for them to get to, like I said, dial it up. So that if you can do them perfect every time, you can always cut it back.
Sure.
But if you never develop that skill to begin with, it's going to be a real struggle for you.
I think it's a specific skill of knowing how to throttle up and throttle down when needed.
Right.
But you have to have that. You have to know how to go to level 10 quality. Hey, I can drop down to an 8.
You have to have the ability to be able to do that level 10 work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was something I had to learn to throttle back.
Yeah.
Which was something that took me a while.
Yeah. Every repair shop owner knows insurance claims slow everything down. Enter claimconnection.io. Experts in writing CCC estimates and submitting claims that stick. They'll fight for every dollar while you do what you do best: quality repairs and making customers happy. Claimconnection.io. Relentless claim support so you can fix more dents, make more money, and stress less.
Still wrangling spreadsheets and scribbling estimates by hand? Say no more. Mobile Tech RX gives you everything in one slick app. Estimates, job tracking, QuickBooks integration, and more. It's built to help recon pros work smarter, ditch the admin grind, and get paid faster. Start your 5-day free trial at mobiletechrx.com. Okay, next question. Top 3 ways you see the PDR tool industry evolving over the next 10 years. Top 3, not meaning the best ways, but just like, the most, I guess, impactful ways that you see it evolving over the next 10
tools,
years.
are we talking about, is there a specific range of tools, like hand tools, glue pulling, technology?
Anything having to do with the tool industry. You go first this time, Carl.
Well, I can tell you what I strive for, and my ultimate goal is, I've traveled overseas quite a bit to work, which is I do not recommend unless you can do it, and you got to kind of go in the mindset that it's going to be like a paid vacation. You might not make a lot of money there. And you can't go to a third world country and expect to make U.S. money. That's lower that expectation. But my ultimate goal is to be able to reduce everything that I need, my hail lights, my hail tools, my cart, you need a cart, to something that you can fly with, that you can travel with. So ultimately it would be to reduce the kind of tools I have, the number of tools I have, and to have a system that I can still travel with and not spend a god-awful amount of money to take with me overseas. So that's ultimately where I try to be, after learning to cut down what tools I use, which my first set of tools, like from Ultra, the adjustable handles, the changeable handles, that reduced my tools quite a bit. And then glue pulling reduced. Remember, we had to use all the little tiny wire tools to get to every part of the panel, because how else are you going to get the dents? The glue pulling has helped a lot with that. You're able to reduce the tools you need. But that's where I would like to end up is having a lighter weight, more travelable tool arsenal for the future.
That's really interesting because you see it how it's going to just be more and more and more and more tools that are niche and niche and niche. But you're saying you're trying to kind of go the other way where you're refining it into the least amount of tools that you can have to get the job done.
Which I guess is opposite what you want as a tool manufacturer. You want people to have every tool on the planet. And it's still not.
But I can see how you would almost have two kits, like, hey, this is my travel kit.
Right.
And this is my house. I can put everything in the car.
My domestic
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
That's really cool.
I've been working on a system for years where, because I mean, even when you travel, you have a lot of wasted space with things that you take with you. And I've been working at a system where everything you travel with will turn into something that you can use. I haven't got there yet, but that's where I will ultimately like to be with our tool system anyway. Is have at least, like you said, a set.
That's
you
really
can, you
cool.
can travel with. And I learned to be a minimalist traveling like that because you're limited to I think like 70, 80 pounds. And the SKB box already weighs like 20. So you're very limited on what you can take with you to a storm. And like when we went to Germany, I just started this tool business or the lighting. And I traveled, I had all my batteries in my backpack. I could hit the ground running. Whereas my friends had to order batteries and chargers when they got there. They had to wait 2 days. So I had 2 extra days I could work as soon as I got there because I had everything with me. I didn't have to buy stuff when I got there.
Yeah, we'd have to go run around finding a battery store and buying batteries and then buying chargers and all that stuff.
Which, depending on where you are, could be a major hassle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Matt had a travel tool cart at one time. Did you know about this? He even had like a backpack made for it.
Oh, yes, I did. I saw that.
There's 2 of those out there in the shop.
I did like that idea.
Yeah, that was kind of the same type of thing. Was like, I'm going to Australia. I need a tool cart.
You have to have to be organized. When you're doing hail, you need to be organized, or it's going to slow you down.
I made that tool cart with Bill Hewlett, and it was great. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, if I can effectively work out of this toolkit for 4 months on any type of damage in Sydney, then essentially I should be able to take this same toolkit as far as the amount of variety of stuff and take it and work in the States with the same amount of stuff. Like I don't need 100 things. Maybe I need 30 things, and so that's kind of when I would travel doing hail, you learn what you need overseas. I have to have one of these and one of these and 2 of these and blah, blah, blah. And then you come back and then everything else is like, I don't need this, but this is cool. Maybe this works for me. Like one light. I learned I don't fix hail with more than one light. Because when I traveled, I would only take one light. And so then I learned this is my system for repairing hail with one light. I don't need to take 2 light setups, meaning like large lights, mini lights.
I work with like 4 large lights when I'm not traveling. If I'm domestic, like I'll set 4 lights on the other side of the roof where I never have to move.
Yeah,
I'm just down the side, and then I use my mini light for cross checking or starting deep dents. But I'm also, I make lights. So
You have a lot of light.
I can do that. I can set up like a light tunnel.
yeah.
But I do like that. And that's one thing you do miss out on when you travel is that you don't have the conveniences you have domestic. And I'm faster when I set those 4 lights up. I never have to leave that other side of the car.
Yeah.
I don't have to adjust my lights. I can do the whole roof and never go to move my lights. But you won't have that advantage when you travel, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn a lot when you're traveling light like that. And I would take one gun case that had my light and the stand. And then I would throw longer rods in there. I think I threw my couple hail rods in there, my aluminum breakdown bar, my Druge breakdown bar in there. And then I would take a smaller Pelican case, like a square one, like suitcase style. That would be like accessories, hammers, knockdowns, glue tabs, glue gun, all the bull crap stuff. And then I would take my cart. And then when I would get then you're buying a step stool and a bench. Like I wouldn't take a bench, I'd go buy all that. They'll source all that stuff locally. So I'd have a whole day of just running around sourcing batteries, battery charger, step stool, blah, blah, blah. But all my main stuff was kind of there. And then, like I said, I'd run that for 4 months and you kind of get used to it. And you're like, oh, I'm somewhat more efficient with less things sometimes, not always, but sometimes. And you kind of learn that system and you kind of get used to it. And then you try to apply it here. But you'll learn a lot. I would actually do this. I'd set up my cart how I think I would like it with the tools that you're going to use, and put a piece of tape on the tool beginning of the season. And then as you use it, pull the tape off. And then in a couple months, if there's tools on your cart that have tape on them, that means you haven't touched them, and you probably could get away with not using those. So you could just maybe leave those at home.
That's a good idea.
Next time. But you kind of like, you learn a lot about what you need. And then you see guys working beside you who work with 13 tools. Like Dustin Fox was one of them, where you're like, you see these guys work with stuff and you're like, how are you fixing a car with these? Like the amount of tools is like a third of what I would have, but they're better and faster than me, and they're knocking it out. And you're like, they just dial this system down to where it's highly efficient.
And at least nowadays too, when you travel overseas, there's tool companies now that you can order stuff if you needed to. So that does help.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm kind of like that though too. I have to have the full set of paddle tools. Like you have to have like every size of those when you travel. And then my Ford tool, I fix everything with the Ford tool from Dent Wizard. That's like my go-to. And then, hail rod.
Why do you like the Ford tool? Is it the way that the handle is oriented, or is it the tip? Because that one has
the triangle,
a perpendicular handle to the tip.
I've just gotten so used to. I mean, I do fenders with it, I do doors with it. Just because it's not all just pushing; it's twisting and pushing. Mm-hmm. I can put different tips on it for soft pushes. I've used it on the edges of roofs because you can hook it.
Oh yeah, that's the best tool for that.
Like it's got so many uses, and I have some other ones. Like I have the one that A1 made. I've had some other versions that other people have tried to make. They were too soft. Like that one that we had from Dent Wizard was just like the perfect blend. You could bend it, but it wouldn't bend on its own. You'd have to, it takes some effort to bend it, but you could just kind of shape. And I had mine bent exactly how I like it, how I've gotten used to using it, and like I said, that's one of my main tools.
It's super versatile. That's cool.
Yeah, Ultra started making them for Dent Wizard, I think, and they made them out of stainless.
Yeah, I think that's because I still talk to we talk to Mike Orr, the tool manager, all the time. We're good friends, but yeah, he told me they were making a lot of their stuff for them now.
Good old Mike Orr.
Dude,
we got to get him on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, it'll be off the chain.
I'll talk to him about it. He just moved. He got hit with his house got hit with a tornado when those tornadoes went through Missouri.
No
I guess
way.
A month or so ago. And he was home, but he was okay. But he said it did a lot of damage to his house.
Wow.
Yeah, Mike's a good dude. He's a big hunter and fisherman. He sent me some deer jerky and stuff one year, some deer sausage.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Mike's a good dude.
Did you ever know Tim Beach? Brad's brother?
No, I had Brad in my class. Brad would sit there smoking a cigarette and paint the fog lines. That's what he liked to do. No, I didn't meet Tim.
So Tim is Brad's brother, and Tim was trained by Brad, but Tim was the tool man before Mike.
Oh, okay.
And at some point, Brad trained him to do dents, and he got out of the tool room and started fixing dents, and he's amazing. Me and him partnered up on a bunch of jobs, and he's unassuming in a way that he's like very slow in just his general movements. His character, he's very sluggish. I don't mean that derogatory. I just mean like he's very just kind of
Casual.
He's
very
chill.
very chill and
Yeah.
casual. And you'll bully, and you're like, man, this guy's, you got to step it up, bro. You look at me, think that, but he's super fast. He's
Wow.
super efficient. You look at a panel, it's done. You're like, I didn't even see you move. How did you do that? He's amazing, amazing tech. One of my favorite techs to work with. I mean, just no drama, zero drama, zero. I mean, we might not talk all day, you know, other than like, hey, you done with that? Yeah. But just sits there and works, man. Just a machine. One of my favorite techs, Tim Beach.
Wow.
He'll probably never come on the podcast ever. It would be too much talking for him in a lifetime, I think. Brad, though, I think Brad, we have.
Yeah, we're trying to get him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, his daughter's going to UF.
Oh, his son
Son.
graduated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know they were coming down here for UF, and so we talked about having come on, but the
Kept missing windows.
yeah. But
So-
Well, he was busy. He had some hail too out there, I think. So he was busy with
Yeah.
that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad,
Okay.
Brad's a good dude.
First one, what any other ones on how you see the tool industry evolving over the next 10 years?
No, that's so wild, all the new stuff they've come out with already.
Matt?
Well, I mean, it really depends on what there's a couple things is how the manufacturers are going to change. So like we basically respond to what the manufacturer does. You know, if they make the cars thinner, then we can do things like this, or if the car gets stronger, then we gotta, you know, you're always kind of responding to. Thankfully, cars have gotten thinner metal and more accessible. I worked on a Ford Ranger the other day, the old body style Ranger. That fender sucked. It's all encapsulated. You can't get in there, as opposed to working on a new. I forget. You forget how.
There's a lot of cars like that. The Honda, we worked on a Cadillac the other day that had extra bracing in the front. You know, you just be able to slide right in the front, and I had to use a tool that doesn't get a lot of credit. Is that kicked paddle tool with the 45?
Oh yeah,
That's the only thing we get in there.
yeah. But when they're making cars more thinner metal, and for me, I think more accessible for what we do, and so you have a little bit of liberty to, as a tool manufacturer, to make things that kind of adjust to that. So it'll be interesting to see. You know, I kind of got a little like when we were talking about Saturn, how they started making cars out of plastic. You kind of pucker a little bit, like, ugh, hope they don't continue doing this. The Cybertruck, I think, changed how cars are made too, where those panels bolt off from the outside and you just replace them. You're not really repairing those panels. And so that's like, hope that's not a trend.
Are the whole cars made like that?
To my knowledge, those panels can unbolt
on and
off
off.
from the outside and you just
Whoa.
replace them. Like the skin.
Yeah.
Not the structural part of the panel.
Yeah, but that's different on that too because it's stainless. So I mean, it's
Exactly.
hard to repair a stainless panel.
Sounds expensive.
But the point is that cars are being made to be more disposable, and they're not thinking this needs to be repairable in the future. It's like, how can we get it through the assembly line the fastest that makes the most sense for us as the manufacturer? So they're making things in that, with that, through that lens. Right. And that is another way to make things, whether or not it's stainless or painted. It's like a alternative way to make things that hopefully it doesn't catch on and translate into other manufacturers doing that way, because that could shake up our industry quite a bit. But so I think, you know, you're always responding to what the manufacturers do.
Sure.
And then when the actual making of the tools, like, I think as the information, like the information age is we're only growing with access to information. That, I mean, the amount of copying that's going to come through is just going to be ridiculous. I mean, like what's happening with your stuff, what's happening with my stuff now, and you can just get on Temu or get on Amazon, and you can just, I mean, and that those are like the big China companies that are, but then you have even the other international tool companies. Like there's so many knockoff versions of my AR now, which so the more that 20 years ago, if you made a tool, nobody know about it, much less the international company, unless someone took it over there and showed everybody. But now you can reveal something online. They can have another version of it. Like, oh, that's a cool idea. Let me make that. And then they spit one out. And so like, I think copying is only going to be more and more prevalent. And so that's why I was saying what do you lean on? Are you going to patent everything? Are you going to do international patents on everything? Like, what is the end game for that? Like, he's not going to continue making if he's got to do that. I mean, you don't have infinite resources available to chase all those things. And to like, even if you do, you got to fight all those patents, which is like
more money.
What are you going to do? Like, it's just, so you have to kind of in my opinion, corral the troops and say, hey man, like we have to somewhat regulate our industry internally. I'm not trying to be some kind of police, but I'm saying like, you have to have some kind of internal regulation that has some kind of moral compass or threshold that it's like, what we're talking about, supporting the tool manufacturers, not just Wild West, whatever's cheapest, whatever's available. I can get it in 3 days. Somebody was showing me a website the other day, and it was like $1.99. It was like a robo lifter or something. And it was like
a mini lifter,
like
for
the knockoff.
$1.99.
It was something like that. I'm like, that's like, I would never buy that. I would never buy it. I mean, for one, because like I know who made that originally, and like I would never support somebody. I don't care if it was for free. I wouldn't want it, because you're gonna have like someone's always can make it for free, and someone can always take what you made and make it better, right? Because the hard part's making it. Developing
come with the idea.
Come with the idea. And then someone else can be, oh, why don't we do this? And it's like they just tweak a little thing, and now it's better than Carl's. And they didn't have any equity in the building of it, like, and so I would much rather, I'm in this tool industry for life as of right now, as far as I can see, and I would much rather support those tool manufacturers who are innovating and building and doing things other than just the cheap thing. And then you have to also talk about the quality. Like, just because it's cheaper doesn't mean it's better. Like, I mean, all you got to do is get on, Instagram, and you can look at people buying crappy stuff and it falls apart the next day. I mean, there's not even our tool PDR stuff, just any product. Like, just because it's cheaper doesn't mean it's better. There's,
it might be the reason why it's cheaper.
Exactly.
Like there's a lot of metallurgy that goes into making those tools where they're strong enough to push the dent without bending, but then you have other tools that you can bend. Plastics, like, because you copy my one of my components doesn't mean it's the same makeup.
Exactly.
I've tested different types, different combinations, different mixtures. And there's a reason why ours is made this way, but someone is looking at it's not going to know what the makeup is of it.
I was talking to a guy that just went through training, and he's like, I'm wanting to get some new tools. He said, I thought about just getting started, just buying a bunch of tools off Amazon just to kind of get me going. I was like, don't do that, man. Don't do that. He's like, well, why? I can get a lot of tools for cheap. I'm like, I get it, but you're stepping into this industry with the wrong outlook. Like, invest in some stuff, and I can help you handpick some things that you can have forever, that you might not have 5 door tools, but let's get you 1 door tool that can do multiple things, like a Ford tool, right? And that one good tool can be used for fenders, for roofs, for doors, for corners, whatever it is. And so and it's a good one instead of buying some random thing off Amazon that has no thought, intent behind it. It's literally just copy. No PDR guy made that. No PDR guy developed that. Some CEO of some company said, "Oh, we can make this print," and then they print it out. I've bought from a body guy like a cheap set of crappy tools, and you go to push on it, and the tool just bends. The dent doesn't bend, but the tool bends. And it's like, this is absolute garbage, as opposed to a PDR tool that's made with thought and intent and metallurgy behind it and what it's made out of and why. Like, buy it once. There's enough. You're going to make enough money in this industry that you can afford anything you need to here. You don't have to have everything. Buy some quality things that you can grow into, and slowly, as you make more money, build your set. And support and applaud the tool makers who are investing in you. Like, no one. I don't think you're building tools to get rich, Carl. I don't. I mean, I think you probably do well, but he didn't pull up in a Lamborghini, because he sells thousands and thousands and thousands of tools a month. This
is a niche industry.
It's a niche industry with people who came through the industry and who saw a need and developed their expertise to make something that makes your life better as a technician. And then some other CEO in some other country copied it and just completely stole all that from him. And if you support that guy instead of this guy, then you're just coming at this industry all wrong. And it's only going to be more prevalent is what I was getting. It's only going to come stronger and stronger, I think, with the copies. And we're going to have to rely on that. Keep spreading that message.
Well, I think now that certain entities have figured out that there is money in making cheap knockoffs of our products, this gonna, like you said, it's gonna be more and more prevalent. They're gonna watch us, constantly watching us.
Oh yeah. There's a company in Turkey that took my Dent Slayer rods, and they have the pictures Maria took. Maria takes all the pictures on her website. They have her pictures, and they have them on their website. And if you click on the website and go to the actual tools, it's a completely different tool. Like my rat rods, these dimensionally, they're where they need to be to fit in a hole and to snake in. Strength wise, they do what they need to do. Like, they're made with intent behind it. And if you go to that Turkish website and you click on that tool, the tool that pops up looks kind of like it, but it's like a wire tool, and the question mark's really big, and it
makes no sense.
It makes no sense if you know what you're doing.
We had that too. We had when one of my friends notified me he saw one of our knockoffs on a site, and when you looked at the pictures, you could see our logo on.
So they even knocked off the logo?
No, they used our tool to promote their knockoff. Like, it was our tool. It had our logo on it.
So they okay.
So you used our the pictures.
So yeah, it's just ridiculous. And I mean, that's not going to stop. No one's going to stop that. Me getting a patent on that's not going to stop that. Like, I'll be broke if I had to do that on everything, and I wouldn't make tools.
Now, Jonathan, I'll murder his last name, Bonafontaine.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't. Good luck.
Him and I think his partner's Barry with that
JVF.
They are the only ones I know that have had success in keeping the knockoffs at bay, but they went to the country and patented in that country. But they're still spending, every time a knockoff pops up, their lawyer has to get involved to contact that office in the other country to get them taken down. So it's just, you're constantly spending money.
It's a constant battle.
Yeah. And it's a war of attrition. Eventually you're spending more money than you made or ever going to make. And at what point do you just stop?
Yeah. And if you have multiple products, I mean, that's just one product that that we're talking about. Like, so yeah, it's exhausting. And what you do is you just say, forget it. It's not worth it. I'll go back to fixing dents. I'll go do real estate on the side instead of doing this because it's easier than chasing these patents all around the world. Yeah.
So I'm listening to y'all and I'm just like, we have our work cut out for us to build a brand that people want to, at the end of the day, they want to pay us more for our product than a knockoff. And like, we have to do the work to make that happen. Educating, brand, whatever.
Now, I did have one of our distributors say that to me a while back, that they had, our lights, and they had some other lights that were from a company not very well known, and people would prefer to buy our lights because of reputation. Reputation means a lot.
Yeah.
So there is that. Like, definitely building your brand.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, is build a brand or a culture or something that people can identify with and want to support. I think that's how consumerism works. I mean, there's people that want just the cheaper thing and that's all they care about. But then there's people that, like, they see a brand, they see a Louis Vuitton bag, and I want that Louis Vuitton bag. Like, they want that. And then there's people who just want the knockoff of it, right? But, like, people identify with brands and they want to support those brands for whatever reason that brand speaks to you. And so we've tried to not just be a tool manufacturer, but also be a brand that people want to identify with. We're not going to be for everybody. We're not everybody's flavor, but we try to be who we are. And if you like us, cool.
For me, it's like the longer I get in this, in trade and older I get and stuff, you realize that you're buying things partially because of what they say about you, right? Like, I want to buy this brand because I want that, the image that they're portraying, I want to identify with that, right? So, like, I mean, I'm just looking at your lights and they're beautiful, right? I mean, like, I don't know, they have a character, they have a vibe to them that is cool, that is really, well done. And it's like, you want people to look at your thing and say, man, this is like a piece of art. There's details to it, the colors, the texture, everything is well done to where it's like, okay, I want to use things in my business because the way this was made, I want to do my business in a similar manner. And I want that to reflect what I'm providing.
And you're thinking about that way.
Yeah.
Which is how I think probably most of us at this table think of it that way. But then you have the other people who are just like, this one's cheaper. I get that one on Amazon for $19.
You don't even need to argue. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, like that's not your
Not your customer.
That's not your customer. And if they don't see your value, then you're not going to convince them of it. Yeah.
Because you're fighting that, I'm fighting that same battle with my dent business, right? I'm advertising my services. I'm not trying to get the cheapest customer. I want the higher end customer. So I want my business, my tools, my everything to be consistent with that.
Yeah, I want someone who walks in these doors and says, I want you guys to fix my dent. I don't care how much it costs. Not that I'm going to take advantage of you, but like I don't care how much it costs because I want you to fix my dent. Somehow I've bought into you, and I like this, and here's my keys. Fix my dent. Whether or not it's quality and care, or reputation, or Google reviews, or how your business looks, or whatever, all those things communicate. But that's what you want, not just, this guy's down the road. He's $25 cheaper. Okay. I can't fix every dent. You're not going to sell everybody a light. It's just not what you're going to do, but you have to find those people who value you. And then that's your customer.
Yeah. Anything else to add to PDR tool industry evolution over the next 10 years? Moving on to the third question. Okay. 3 things.
I will say this. Pause 1 second. And I'm curious. This might be a good. Is that most of the companies that are out now have, I would say like the big ones, have been in the industry since the inception. And you're going to see this generation of them probably going away, and then there's going to be a new generation, right? Like, let's just say Steve at Ultra, and I've never met Steve, and I'm just saying, but like from my knowledge, he's been with Ultra since the beginning, and he's only getting older. And at some point, he's going to find something else to do, maybe sell it or move on. And so that generation who started that brand is probably going to either hand that off to maybe his kid or maybe sell that off to somebody else. And so I think we still have, for the most part, like John and A1 or John and Maria with A1, they've had A1 since the 2000s, like early. Dent Craft, Finesse, like these bigger brands that I think at some point we'll see the evolution of those original generation of people moving on, and then there will be either that being done, like they just shut it down, or it being handed off to the next thing. I think that's just gonna
Do y'all see
organically happen.
So even with the biggest companies, maybe is Anson the biggest? A1? I don't know. Let's just say the biggest, whoever the biggest company is. Do you see in our lifetime our industry getting big enough to where some serious financial investors are trying to dump a ton of money into a company like that in our industry to make, almost to, I feel like in these niche industries, it's not mature to the sense of like every other company that's publicly traded, you kind of have a way that things are done. Like, I don't know. Do you think in our lifetime it matures to that level?
They're all still mom and pop companies, what you're saying.
Right. And nobody's coming and be like, hey, I'll dump $1 billion in your company because there's just not we're not big enough to support that kind of investment.
We're still all these little small mom and pop hardware stores waiting for the big Home Depot to come in and buy them all up, is what you're saying?
Well, the problem is, we've discussed this. If somebody wanted to buy us out, who's the one doing the innovation in the company?
Yeah.
I design our stuff. You design your stuff. If somebody bought you out, all they left is what you have right now. The company would never grow. It would never have new tools. Well, I won't say never, but realistically, if you're not in our industry, you're not a technician, because all the stuff that we've come up with, and we pretty much think about every tool company, or almost every tool company, there's technicians there, or the person in the company that started the company was a technician and knows what we use, what we need, how we use it. And I think that if you take that away, and I can give you an example, I'm not going to mention any names, where someone has taken over a tool company and doesn't have a technician background, that there hasn't really been a lot of innovation coming out of them.
Yeah, like it's lost. I mean, 100%. The only, like somebody bought me, let's just use, or I'll speak for me. If someone bought me right now, yeah, they'd buy everything that I have currently, but then I'd be, in theory, sitting on a beach somewhere, and they'd be not innovating, and they'd be left with what's on the shelf. And then maybe they're going to bring in some new designer who can start adding to that line, but they're not going to have my unique look on things. They're not going to have the same thing for you. Like, they could probably bring in some electronics guru if they bought Stucky, and they might tweak this and do that, but they're not going to. It's not going to be Stucky.
Well, I'm going to say this: if somebody does want to pay me a good sum of money to buy us out, I'll stay on and help you for a while.
What's your price? If someone offered you that you would take it?
I would have to discuss that with
Good answer.
Yeah. Yeah, they could, I guess, keep you on for a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be happy to stay on as a consultant and help them.
But like for me though, like what's important, and we've talked about this on the show multiple times, is that my innovation comes from me being in the shop working, right? Or being in there training somebody, and you're like, I really need something that does this or that, or so let me make that and solve that problem. And if you take me out of the shop, then it's hard for me to envision me being innovative with tools.
That's why I still try to work on cars at least a few a month, so I can stay trying this and testing even the new tools like you have, seeing how they work, seeing, what could be changed or what I could change in our products. Because when you get away from that, like you said, you're not going to be able to, it's going to be hard to come up with the idea.
Yeah.
All right, third question. 3 things, and this is gauged, this is for our audience, so people that are dent techs and small business owners. 3 things that you would recommend to help people innovate in their businesses. 3 things you would tell someone to do or that you do to help you innovate in your business.
As a dent technician or as...
Yeah.
Okay.
Dent technician, so technically or business-wise?
Definitely keep up with new technology, new tools, new trends. Marketing's a big thing now, like with the Google reviews. Your online presence is really big. A good website, that's something we're working on too. We're working to switch our platforms for our e-commerce.
So like being connected to the community,
Right.
Seeing what's going on around you.
And staying current.
Yeah.
I think innovation has to be genuine. I think people try to be
Unnecessarily
innovative.
Yeah.
And it's gross. Like it's just like you can almost see it and you're like, this is people sense that, and so I think if I'm only innovating what I think is a genuine need, it's not like, oh my gosh, I have to have 4 tools out by Q1 or else I'm not, like, so let me just go make something real quick, because it's not like that. Like that's, people can feel that, I think, is what I'm saying. And it's like, that's not innovative. Like now you're just chasing a P&L spreadsheet or something, like you're not being innovative.
Well, we've seen that too in our industry, that, especially the guys we've been doing this for a long time. All of a sudden the old ideas are new ideas again. We're like, well, damn, we were doing that back in the 90s.
I think it's important to really be innovative. Like you made this to solve a problem, right? Not just to meet a quota. Like you made this to solve a problem, and when you do that in the right way, people are going to know it, and they're going to be like, oh, that does solve it. I can use this. Not just, I just had these random things, I throw them together, and I just want your money. It's like, this solves a problem, and that's innovation to me. And so I think it's trying to be innovative for the right reasons.
So what I hear you saying is you're hooked into understanding people's problems.
Yeah.
You're hooked into that pipeline.
Well, like I just said, is that I'm a real technician who's in the shop every day probably more than I want to be fixing dents and training new guys, and so I can see how a new guy can. How does this light work? And I can say, oh well, yeah, that maybe that is a problem, or whatever. You can see that with new people coming in, because let's face it, as veteran guys, that we can intuitively know things where a new person, they're not going to understand how or why that's made, right?
Yeah, like the new people don't know how to pop the lock line apart. I've had that.
Scary.
Yeah. So what's second nature to us is like, so when you see like a new guy who doesn't understand you, you're like, oh yeah, I guess that does. I do need to do a better job at explaining that or whatever.
Well, that's one we've been doing it so long. We don't think about it.
Yeah.
And that's something that even like training my son, I'm having a harder time explaining some things to him than my brother does, because my brother hasn't been doing it as long, and it's fresher in his mind of the things he struggled with.
Yeah.
Versus me, that's been doing this since '97. I have a hard time remember some of these things that I struggled with initially.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a little removed from that. But yeah, I think it's being pure and genuine to the innovation, and you're solving a problem, but you have to identify with that problem, right? When we're talking about tools and we're talking about things that need to change or not change, and we're like, I don't know, there's a problem with it. Like, if it's broke, we need to fix it. Or if it needs improving, we should improve it. But if it's not, do we just innovate just to innovate? Like, no. Like, because people are going to know, oh, this is a money grab. He just wants my money. He's done. You don't want to come off in that regard. As
Like a car model change from year to year. There's like no real upgrade. It's just like the body changed.
Yep.
Just so that they can make a new car to sell more cars.
Yeah. And so you can feel that, and that's where I'm saying that you kind of feel like
Yeah.
that grossness.
So one thing I was thinking about is just being connected to similar things that you are learning from. Like just for me like if I'm going to stay up to date in being innovative in like video editing, for example, like I need to watch other people, not in the dent industry, but like in other industries, what they're doing with video editing, like connected to other parts of that process. I just imagine like you guys walking. I watched him do it when we were in Italy, and he wanted to go to the Italian hardware store to just see the tools that they had, and just looking at how people how they make this tool, and just trying to see where the innovations are in similar but different industries.
Inspiration.
Yes, to stay inspired.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a gadget. Like I love gadgets, and toys, tools, anything like that. And so all that kind of ties together into what I'm trying to make. Whether or not it's aesthetically or functionally or lots of different things that I'm looking at, or even just how things mechanically fasten or whatever that is. Like I'm just intrigued by all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm like that too. After I had my hip replaced, I had a vacuum pump that was connected to my bandages. So I had like a sealed bandage over, I got like a 12-inch incision on my side with like 40 staples. And for the first week, I had this vacuum package over the incision, and it kept it like tight. It kept contaminants out of it. I was like, that's the crazy. And it's like this little pump, this little vacuum pump, and it only lasted 1 week. It shut off 7 days, like exactly when they turn. So they make a 7-day and a 14-day pump, and they use it for different medical procedures. But it made it heal so much faster.
Wow.
And like nicer, like the incision, it didn't open up. It kept it like closed and tight. And it was just wild. I would never think about having a vacuum package on my leg from
So
the
it kept
surgery.
air out of it?
Yeah.
That's
And it
insane.
would cut on every once in a while, just like our vacuum cups,
Mm-hmm.
and just keep the air out of it.
Did you modify it at all?
Not yet. Well,
Kept the pump?
Well, it cut off, and I asked the doc, I'm like, "What do you guys recycle these?" He's like, "No, it's trash." I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna take it apart and play with it."
Nice.
Have you been able to turn it back on yet?
No, it's something in the circuitry. They have, I don't know how that works, but I haven't had time to take it apart yet, but it's coming.
When I was, I don't know if I told you this story, but like when Lincoln was born, he had really bad bow legs.
I remember that.
Yeah. And they gave him some prosthetic like braces. I don't know if they're called prosthetic, but braces.
Yeah, leg braces.
Yeah. And they were just horribly designed. And I had to alter them, modify them to make where he could walk. Like, because they were just like, I paid how much money for these dumb things?
Yeah.
And there was like zero, like, I was thinking
You
for a
were
minute,
offended because of how bad the design
yes,
was?
yeah. I had to literally take them to my garage and like re-alter them and change them and do different stuff just to make them. And
They were all, it was all designed for function and not any comfort, or like what was the
not even
what was
function,
the disconnect,
man.
really?
Not even function. These braces, so Lincoln was, let's just say he was 4. I don't know how old he was. I got pictures of him. He was walking. He was older than 2, probably 4. And we had to brace him. And so they were just like essentially like a straight rod that went from your upper thigh down to your foot that hinged in the middle. And then all these straps that had, like a hip cup and like a Velcro strap that pulled your thigh into the brace. And then you had like a stirrup like for your foot that held the ball of your foot. And then you had like another Velcro strap that went on your calf. And it basically just pulled your crooked leg taut against this straight brace that hinged. But and he's supposed to wear them 24 hours a day. So we get on and we put them on him, and the cup, the stirrup that he put his foot in, was made out of like very slippery plastic. Like it was molded. I don't know what it was. Like was that milk jug material? Like very
Slick.
slick plastic.
If you're wearing a sock.
And they just
slide
molded
off.
it. It wasn't even like flat. It was round. Like the bottom where his foot went in was round plastic. And he's supposed to walk across wood floor at 4 years old, which is, with these splints, which are metal straps that go all the way up to your thigh. And he couldn't walk in them. This is absolute garbage. Like, could not walk. Like, he could lay in his bed at night and wear them because you're not, there's no walking. It was like a deer on ice. It was like not happening. And so I had to go in there and like reheat form the bottom and try to get them flat. And I tried different like grip tape, and then it scratches up my floor. And I did all these things. And I'm like, this should be solved. Why am I solving this? This guy makes these. Like, why is this? This isn't a good solution. So we had to go. I tried. I drilled out the cups and took the cups off and remade the stirrups and tried doing different things. Eventually, I had to just resort to going and buying these huge shoes that went over his foot and over the whole stirrup and Velcroed them on. Just that was the only thing I could think of because they were made so bad. And yeah, so he had to walk around with these basically clown shoes. They were like,
Oh, poor thing.
like a size 8, like it was ridiculously large.
Yeah.
Just so he could walk through the house, and he wore those for like a year and a half before his legs straightened out. Which
Yeah.
they're perfectly straight now, but stuff like that, you're just like, this is you should be fired. You shouldn't make these for a living. Thankfully I can do that, but someone else, like what did you do with your kid? But
Probably just didn't wear them.
probably didn't wear them.
Yeah.
They got bow legs. Yeah. No one's gonna wear those. It's possible. But So I'm always trying to like think and modify and look at stuff, how they're made, and what can I make this better or different. But maybe I should have got into doing prosthetics.
Maybe.
Yeah, medical devices. I heard there's pretty good money in that.
Yep.
I made a leg brace for our 16-year-old Yorkie because he's got a bad leg and
No
he was
way.
limping a lot. So I went through several versions to make something that works and it's comfortable for him.
Straighten them out. Was it good?
Yeah, he can walk on it. He
Yeah.
can put pressure because he has really bad arthritis in one leg, and he couldn't put any weight on it. So this allows him to walk on it a little more normally and not have the pain. Yeah, we do things for our children.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to add? Carl, is there anything you want to talk about that we didn't bring up?
No, we've been talking for a while.
We have.
Yeah, we're
Coming up on 3 hours.
right at 3 hours. 3 hours, 7 minutes.
We need to thank our sponsors. So, Mobile Tech RX, one of our sponsors. Appreciate you guys. And claimconnection.io.
I just learned something about mobile tech yesterday. I had a problem with like one of my places I service. They needed their photos to come in a different way. Because they were, once we sent the photos for an estimate, they were coming in one way, and they didn't like how they were coming in. So I called Mobile Tech, and I'm like, hey, what is the solution for this? And she walked me through it, and I'd just been sending them from my device, not from the server. If you send it from the server, then they get that link, and instead of downloading all the pictures individually, you could download all of the photos into a zip file. And so I showed that to my customer, and it was like mind blowing. And I didn't know this, but again, I learned this yesterday, is that they can approve that. I can send them the estimate through server, and all they do is have to hit approve, and it automatically takes mine from an estimate and puts it in work order.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I didn't either. I just learned that yesterday.
Wow.
And that was
By accident?
That's nothing.
Or they approved
Well,
it and you didn't realize it?
I called about the photos, and I said, hey, I'm going to try. I called my customer and said, hey, I'm sending you a new email with all the photos. Try it this way. Tell me if it works. And he's like, yeah. And so he's on his end, just clicking. He's like, all right, well, I just approved it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do see an approve button, but I didn't know what it did. And he approved it. And then he said, yeah, I like how the photos are. And we got off the phone. Everything was good. And then I'm looking for it again in my my estimates. And it's like dark where you can't click on nothing. Mm-hmm. It's in there, but you can't adjust it. I'm like, what the heck? And so I went into work orders, and it's there, approved by the customer. So little things like that were already there. Nothing new, just my illiteracy. Obviously, got a little bit of education, but
Innovation.
Little things like that. But they, I called. They called me right back, and she was very gracious. She walked me through everything, and I actually had to record the conversation so I could go explain to my wife how to do it. Mm-hmm. Which is another testament to technology, but it was really cool. So kudos to Mobile Tech for having that ability.
Boom. Have you had any big smashes that you've needed to use Claim Connection for this month?
I have not. No, it's been a little slow on the retail side of things. I mean, I've had some big stuff come through, but nothing that anybody's wanted to do through insurance. I try to divert them. I'm not trying to convince you to go to insurance, but I'm trying to like, hey, it's going to be expensive. You might want to go through insurance.
Right.
And so most of the people are like, nah, I just want to keep it out, pay out of pocket. So, but no, I haven't had to use them
In a minute.
Yeah.
Right on. You got anything else, Matt?
No, I just want to say I'm super, super grateful to you, Carl, for your friendship, for your products, for coming down, for your innovation. It's been super cool to witness and to watch and to see you just be consistent. And I'm super glad to have heard more of your story and to bring some context to the face, you know?
Well, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure and a new experience for me.
Yeah. Have you done these before? We were thinking about that.
I've done a few podcasts, but usually on my laptop in my kitchen while the kids are running around or dogs barking.
Yeah.
So this was different. At least it was pretty close. You know, a few hours drive, not bad.
Yeah. Well, we definitely appreciate you making that sacrifice to come here
On a
And
Saturday.
I'm sure our audience will too. I'm
Well,
sure
we've
a
been
lot-
talking about it for a while, so it was definitely time. So it worked out well because next week I'll be gone.
Cool.
Right on. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Where can people find him?
People
Where can people find you?
You can go to our website, stuckytools.com.
Are you
Yeah.
on social media?
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Stucky Tools.
Cool. Find me and Matt at dentslayer.com. That's where you can find us.
Yep. If you got any input or questions, you can send us an email and we'll get it and try to answer it on the next episode. Which we already have a next guest. We're not going to talk about who it is, but we have our next guest scheduled for August. And this will be a pretty fun one too. I think you definitely know who
He's
this
got
is.
to.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, he'll be on here, I think, late August. We're going to schedule
Late
record
August.
that one. So,
Yep.
very cool.
All right. Thanks, Carl.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
The Dent
See y'all next time.
Slayer,
All right.
Matt Boyette. Thank you so much for being here.
She's smooth.